So, everyone, welcome to the live class today. We've been discussing the topic of deductions, and today is the last class on this. And up till now, we have covered up all your deductions in relation to expenses, payments, and other incomes. Today, we'll be starting with deductions in respect of certain incomes. So, are you guys ready? Before we begin, if any one of you have any doubt, we'll be very happy to take it up. Please settle in and so that we can start today's class. All clear? That's superb. That's a good signal. Perfect. So now today's class can be a bit, what you say, monotonous or can be a bit boring because this is not as exciting as the other deduction sections where we have a lot of interesting things coming up and we can relate because specifically like payments like donations, payment like insurance premiums, payment like investing in an ELSS. We are all doing this on a daily basis, right? But deduction which you will now see that is from ATIA to ATIE, not five, there are a lot of them, has a lot of condition based. And here typically, if I think as a teacher, I feel very helpless because there are things which you have to remember to understand them. You have to remember what types of businesses which are covered here. You have to remember the commencement date. You have to remember the quantum of deduction. So I can, yes, be a medium to decode that for you. But at the same time, the problem comes is that when you have to understand it concept by concept and retain it, which is a major part here as a student for all of you. So I'm not discouraging it or I'm not demeaning my role here, but all I want is that try to be attentive in this particular sections. Coming questions from this particular section is I'll tell you Sat once every 2 years or three attempts a question come from these sections. Otherwise, we have a lot of other sections coming. So, shall we begin? Perfect. So now deduction in respect of certain incomes, when we talk about 1 second. One minute. This got hanged. Thank you, Jeannie. Sorry, this got hanged for a second. 1 second. So now from ATIA to ATRRB are the sections which are in respect to certain incomes. That means if in your gross total income, that income would be included, then only you will get the deduction of that income from your gross total income. So basically, you don't have to spend anything to get the deduction. You have an income already in your gross total income, and that part of the income or the entire income out of that would be deductible. Obviously, this is not applicable for me, you, anyone who is earning business from income from salary or a regular business. These are an incentive-based deduction, like to incentivize people to do business in a particular area, in a particular category, in a particular market, so that that could be revamped, that could be made more communicable or commercial, right? So then only these deductions will be available. So if you'll see the nature of deduction, you'll see ki, long and short, all of these are either promoting a specific backward area or all of these are promoting an infrastructure facility which any government needs to improve its economy. Okay. But all these deductions, if I talk about from the section 80 IEA list and 80 IEA, IB, IAC, IBA, IC, IE, or going forward to ATJJ and so on. But coming to ATIE to ATIE list, all of these have a sunset period. Sunset period क्या होता है? So if you see on the screen, is a year of commencement of eligible business, right? This wala line. So this particular line is that if you want to be eligible for these particular sections for deduction, you have to be starting or commencing your business by the last date which is eligible for that particular deduction. So like here you have 1st April 17, then you'll go down, then you'll see there is some 31st March 17, there is a March 11, March 12, and so on. There are a lot of sunset period. Sunset period means when the period to claim that deduction ends. So a lot of them are already back long ago wala deduction where the sunset period has end. Abhi you will say कि ma'am sunset period to end हो गया. So why are we reading those deductions? So to be eligible in these deductions, you have to start your business from between a particular date, number one. If you start your business after that, you will not be eligible. So government opens these deductions for a limited period so that people can plan and open that particular business to claim the tax holiday. Okay, if deduction when you are eligible from ATIA to ATIE, you get the thing which is called tax holiday, which people call in common parlance, right? But in income tax parlance, we call it deductions from the gross total income. Now, tax holiday means कि आपका जो इस particular income, इस particular business से whatever income you will be generating, whatever income you would be generating from this particular business would be 100% deductible or deductible to an extent of 30, 50, as the case may be. So basically, you will get a tax holiday. Maybe after commencing the business, you may not have to pay the tax on it. Got it? So, अब आपको क्या याद रखना है? Which section gets which business? Which section get which business and what is the sunset period? If you are able to remember it, very good. And what is the tax holiday period? What is the tax holiday period? कि कब से and for how many years you will get the deduction. So suppose many sections will have, you'll get the deductions for 10 out of 15 years, starting from the year when you commence the operation. Some may have in the first 10 years, some may have 10 out of 20 years as a condition, and so on. Some may have 100% deduction for 10 years, some may have 100% deduction for 5 years, and 30% deduction for next 5 years. ऐसा है. This is how you have to remember them. Now, if I talk about ATIA, now ATIA is the first section which we are doing. But before going to that, some common points which you will find in most of the section is that audit is mandatory to claim these deductions because yes, these are tax holiday. So you have to get the audit done. Then obviously return has to be filed within time to get this particular deduction. Then you have to remember is that in most of the cases, a particular person should have this business income. I'll those specifically tell, but in most of the cases, they are covered. One point in all these sections when you read it in detail is that if an assessee has 2 units, please listen carefully. One unit which is doing this particular business, which is eligible for tax holiday. अब obviously tax holiday है मतलब जितना भी उस business unit से you are getting an income, that is a business income, entire income would be exempt in most of the cases. And one unit can be any other business unit. Right. Now, since you're an assessee of these 2 units, right? Since you're an assessee of these 2 units, you can manipulate the profits of these by showing higher profits for this and a higher kharcha for this. A higher expenditure either and a higher income either, saying कि यहाँ पे जितना मर्जी higher income I show, any which way that would be allowed as a deduction. That would, I'm using the word exemption, that is wrong. Any which way that would be allowed as deduction. So, no problem, I'll show inter-transfer between units and in a way, I'll claim higher expenditure here and for that expenditure, I can show higher income here. That would not be an issue. But the government has specifically, that is the CBD, the income tax authorities have specifically kept this check that if you are doing such inter-unit transactions, those should be as per the market price. If you will not do those transactions as per the market price, whatever higher income you have shown here in the tax holiday wala unit would be taxed at a regular rate. There would be no deduction on it. Simple, makes sense also ना. अब suppose करो मैं यहाँ पे खर्चा दिखा दूँ of 10,000 units purchased from unit 1. Okay, 10,000 say whatever goods purchased from unit 1 at a higher price और यहाँ पे income भी दिखा दूँ. So whatever higher income is there, that would be charged at the regular rates and there would be no reduction from it. अगर if you will be very shana, the government is more shana than you. Okay, this is the common point which is there in all. Otherwise, if there is any other common point which I'll tell you specifically, is like in most of the manufacturing related deductions, you cannot use second hand machinery. You cannot use second hand machinery. ये कॉमन केस चीजें हैं जो बहुत सारी जगह आएंगी. एंड इफ यू आर यूजिंग सेकेंड हैंड मशीनरी दैट कैन बी अप टू 20% of your total machinery. If it is more than 20%, then you would not be eligible for the deduction. And second hand machinery mein, the machinery which is imported from outside India is not included, just like the one which we studied for your 35 AD. Okay? So now, again, back to the basic. Core focus is to see the business, to see the commencement date, to remember the tax holiday period, nothing else. And this is how we'll do it, because otherwise if I'll go and teach you, oh, this is the business, oh, that is the business, you will be like, and why are you doing this to us? Okay. So I'll pick up this chart. I'll give you the explanation in detail wherever required. And फिर कोई issue होगा तो just let me know. Yeah. So the first section is ICAI. Profits and gains derived from eligible businesses, which is your industrial undertaking or infrastructure development related. So if you see, यहाँ पे total 1, 2, 3, 4 types of businesses are there. Please see on the screen. ICAI में क्या क्या included है? One is infrastructure facility, industrial parks, company owned by an Indian company set up for reconstruction or revival of power generational plants. ठीक है? And power undertakings. ये 4 टाइप के बिजनेस है. अब इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटी क्या होता है? सबसे पहले तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटी, इफ आई हैव टू एक्सप्लेन यू व्हाट इज एन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटी. सी, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटी कैन बी एनीथिंग. सोचो, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटी मतलब जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर विच वुड हेल्प द इकोनॉमी टू बूस्ट, लाइक रोड इंक्लूडिंग टोल रोड्स, ब्रिज एक्सेट्रा. हाईवे प्रोजेक्ट्स विच इंक्लूड हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स ऑल्सो, अगर वो हाईवे प्रोजेक्ट के मेन पार्ट है. ठीक है. वाटर सप्लाई प्रोजेक्ट्स, water treatment projects, sanitation, sewerage system, solid waste management, and ports, airports, inland waterway, inland port, navigation channel. ये सारे, these are the 4 types of business which comes in infrastructure facility. ये सब infrastructure facility है. Roads, highways, water supply projects, ports, airport, etc. ठीक है. So if you are into any of this infrastructure facility work, any of this infrastructure facility was either developing or operating and maintaining, or developing, operating and maintaining. या तो आप infrastructure facility को develop करते हो, या उसको operate कर रहे हो, या उसको develop भी कर रहे हो, operate भी कर रहे हो, maintain भी कर रहे हो. ठीक है. All of these 3. Then you have started your business between April 95 to 2017. Then you are eligible for deduction under ICAI. अब बहुत सारे लोगों को आएगा कि ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स क्या है. बेसिकली जो मेन पार्ट ऑफ हाईवे है, आपको हाईवे करना था, यू हैव टू गेट अ हाईवे डन. सो ऑब्वियसली उसके रिगार्डिंग अगर कुछ यू हैव टू गेट योर हाउसिंग डन, और वहां से कुछ घर बनाने हैं बिकॉज यू आर रिकंस्ट्रक्टिंग सर्टेन थिंग्स, दैट टाइप्स ऑफ हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स आर कवर्ड योर. Yes, most of them has conditions like Indian company होना चाहिए यहाँ पे. हाँ, remember one thing, ICAI में, if the government is giving you contracts and you are doing such works based on those contracts, you're not into core business of developing, operating, etc., but you are just getting contracts and doing such work, then you are not eligible for deduction. Then you are not eligible for deduction. जैसे टेलीकम्युनिकेशन फैसिलिटी भी है, बट आई थिंक टेलीकम्युनिकेशन फैसिलिटी इन्होंने हटा दिया बिकॉज उसका सनसेट पीरियड तो खत्म हो गया था 2005 में, और उसके बाद 1 सेकेंड, उसके बाद इट इज नॉट एलिजिबल एनीवे. हाँ, So back to the conditions which you have to remember is that you should, for claiming the deduction, you should be a company which is registered in India or a company which is formed by the consortiums of such companies, okay? And you must have entered into an agreement with central government or state government or local authority. खुद से ये काम नहीं शुरू कर सकते, and the main condition is that your business should be started between April 95 to March 2017. डिडक्शन कितना अवेलेबल है? डिडक्शन अगर आप देखो, यू आर अवेलेबल डिडक्शन हियर इज 100%, 100% of the profits which are derived from this business is deductible, but you have an option to claim deduction for 10 consecutive assessment years out of 15 years, beginning from the year in which you commence the operation. Beginning from the year in which you commence the operation. But when I talk about SESI who is engaged in business of developing, operating, or maintaining a port, airport, inland waterways, etc., the deduction shall be eligible for 10 out of 20 years. Then the deduction would be available for 10 out of 20 years. और 100% डिडक्शन मिलेगा, ठीक है? अगर आप पोर्ट में हो, हाईवे प्रोजेक्ट से वाले, देन 10 आउट ऑफ 20, अदर एलिजिबल बिजनेस में 10 आउट ऑफ 15. अब आप बोलोगे कि मैम समझ नहीं आया. सी, अब ध्यान से ये स्टार्ट करते हैं मैं से. I wanted to give it with an example. And this example will hold good in a lot of cases. अब कोई भी project, any business when you start, obviously you're not having an income in the first year itself, right? तो इसलिए एसएससी को ऑप्शन दिया कि they can have the deduction claim in any 10 out of 15 consecutive years. अब suppose करो year 1 में there's a loss of, say, I'm writing it in crores, okay, 20 crores. Then next year is also there's a loss of, say, 15 crores. Then there's a loss of, say, 11 crores. Then there's a loss of, say, 5 crores. अब year 5 से you started having profit. Say 10 crore का profit हुआ. अब सबसे पहले you will adjust this particular loss with it. Like, right? ये सारा तो carry forward हो रहा होगा loss. So you will adjust this loss. अभी भी there is zero profit, and then there is carry forward losses of 10 plus 15, 25, 30, 31, right? फिर नेक्स्ट ईयर सपोज 15 का फिर से प्रॉफिट हुआ, इसमें से फिर से 15 का आपने लॉस एडजस्ट कर दिया. अब नेक्स्ट ईयर कैरी फॉरवर्ड लॉस कितना हो गया? 16 का. अभी स्टिल 16 का लॉस है. अब नेक्स्ट ईयर 20 का, सपोज 20 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट हुआ. अब 16 का यू एडजस्टेड द लॉस फर्स्ट. नाउ यू हैव 4 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट. दिस यू कैन क्लेम एज डिडक्शन अंडर ICAI फॉर 4 करोड़. फॉर 4 करोड़ 20 का क्लेम नहीं करोगे, ऑब्वियसली आफ्टर सेट ऑफ क्लेम करोगे. यहां से यू कैन क्लेम इट फॉर टोटल 10 ईयर्स. अब यू विल बी लाइक कि मैम 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 साल तो एक्सपायर हो गए और 15 में से सिर्फ 10 ईयर्स ही क्लेम कर सकते. तो यस, यू विल क्लेम इट ओनली फॉर 10 years, but in those first 15 years, that means you are hardly left with 9 years to claim. You have to claim it for 9 years. अब आपको नहीं हो रहा profit in any of those 15 years, there cannot be a situation like this. Or if it is a situation, government cannot help you on this. In any of the 10 consecutive years, consecutive मतलब once you have started, you have to start claiming it for the next 9 years also. 1 plus 9. अब इसके बाद जितना भी आप सपोज करो नेक्स्ट ईयर 10 करोड़ का you got a profit. So पूरा का पूरा 10 crore would be eligible as deduction under 80IA. And it will go so on. Now every year they have to claim 80IA. What if there's a loss in that year? No problem. Next year फिर से जब profit होगा claim it. But now consecutive 10 years तक ही मिलेगा. But 1 year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. अब वो एक साल का loss हो गया because there was not sufficient profit after set off of losses to adjust it. Got it? This is how the tax holiday period mechanism works. Yeah, Ginny.
Ma'am, you have explained this from 8, 9, 10 यानी स्टार्टिंग से 1 year है ना?
हाँ, स्टार्टिंग से 1 year है, but profit you can claim the tax holiday which you can claim is in at an option of 10 consecutive years after first 15 years. यानी बिजनेस कमेंस करने के 15 साल में से कोई भी 10 साल कंसेक्यूटिवली टैक्स हॉलिडे ले सकते हो. अब ऐसा इस केस में क्या हुआ कि फर्स्ट ईयर तो लॉसेस आ रहे थे. अब जब से प्रॉफिट्स आए, पहले तो मैं लॉस सर्टिफ करूंगी, उसके बाद आई विल क्लेम द रिडक्शन ना.
हाँ.
तो वो यहाँ पे ईयर 7 में जाके कुछ प्रॉफिट बच रहा था टू क्लेम द रिडक्शन.
हम्म.
अब यहाँ से 10 साल शुरू होंगे, बट मैक्सिमम 15 साल तक ही जा सकता है. सो इवन इफ यहाँ से 10 साल शुरू होके आई विल हैव ओनली 9 ईयर, देन आई कैन क्लेम डिडक्शन ओनली 9 ईयर. ईयर 16 में आई कैन नॉट क्लेम एनी प्रॉफिट.
यस मैम, क्लियर. यानी कि स्टार्टिंग में अगर आपको लॉस भी हो रहा है तब भी वो 15 कंसेक्यूटिव ईयर्स चल रहे हैं,
हाँ,
है ना?
वो चल रहे हैं. वो
हाँ.
क्योंकि 15 कंसेक्यूटिव ईयर्स आर स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ योर
बिजनेस
कमेंसमेंट.
कमेंसमेंट.
यस.
हाँ. और जब भी प्रॉफिट होगा, वो प्रॉफिट से 10 साल आप क्लेम कर सकते.
करेक्ट. करेक्ट.
ओके मैम.
आपको अगर अब सपोज करो किसी को प्रॉफिट हो रहा है 10th ईयर में जाके, तो उसके बाद बस 5 साल बच गए टू क्लेम इट. Even if
ओके.
tax holiday period is for 10 years, but he is left with only 5 years to claim it because he has to claim it in maximum first 15 years.
यस मैम, क्लियर मैम, थैंक यू.
Got it? Good. Does anyone has any other doubt इसमें? Read the lines. अभी मैंने खाली डेवलपिंग एंड ऑपरेटिंग ऑफ और डेवलपिंग ऑपरेटिंग एंड मेंटेनिंग ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटी बताया. और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटी में आई टोल्ड यू इट्स अबाउट डिफरेंट डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ हाईवे प्रोजेक्ट्स, रेल प्रोजेक्ट्स, पोर्ट्स एक्सेट्रा, उससे रिलेटेड. इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटी में 4-5 टाइप्स के बिजनेसेस हैं व्हिच यू कैन सी. नेक्स्ट इन ATIA ओनली सेकंड कैटेगरी इज इंडस्ट्रियल पार्क्स. Industrial parks are something similar to your special economic zones, but actually they are like more in relation to promoting manufacturing and industries. Like Noida is an industrial park. Noida Hub is an industrial park. If you guys are in and around NCR, you can relate it. Special economic zone क्या होता है? That is more into promoting exports. This is more into promoting infrastructure. This is more into promoting manufacturing, etc. So ये एक मेजर डिफरेंस होता है. SEZ के लिए एक सेपरेट एक्ट है. इंडस्ट्रियल पार्क्स के लिए देयर इज एक्ट एज पर द स्टेट लॉज. ठीक है. सो इफ यू आर ऑपरेटिंग एन इंडस्ट्रियल पार्क जहां पे आपके पास आके द कंपनीज कैन ओपन एंड दे विल गेट फैसिलिटीज फॉर एनहांस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड ऑपरेशंस, then you will get a deduction. You are not someone who is operating an industrial park. You are someone who is developing an industrial park or operating an industrial park or operating and maintaining any industrial park. Then you will get a deduction of 100% of the profits for the first for 10 consecutive assessment years out of any 15 years beginning again from the year in which the enterprise starts the operation. अच्छा, एक और चीज याद रखना, एसएससी काफी जगह कंपनीज आर ओनली अलाउड, काफी जगह कंपनी फर्म्स LLPs आर अलाउड, काफी जगह ऑल SSCs आर अलाउड. सो मेक द नोट ऑफ दैट. बट हियर ऑल्सो द सनसेट क्लॉज इज दैट if you are into industrial park, you have to start your operation by 31st March 2011. Power undertakings, again power undertakings का भी सेम है, सिंपल कि you are into your power undertakings and generation of power plants, almost same है. Is again you are into generation, distribution of power, transmission, distribution of laying a network, substantial renovation, modernization of existing network of transmission of distribution lines. But when I say renovation means कि किसी का अगर renovation means what? If you are increasing the network transmission capacity by at least 50%. See, these are all operations where you are promoting a new facility. If you are into, suppose a question comes to you like this, that a person is into just renovating highways, then it is not an eligible business. It is not an eligible business because you have to give a new infrastructure facility. If a person is into highway projects, yes, it is a new infrastructure facility. If a person is just into your repairing the highways when they go with potholes, etc., it is not an infrastructure facility because you're not developing something new. Why should you be given this benefit? But suppose you are into a highway project where already 2-lane highway ko, you're making a 3-lane highway, then that means you're increasing the capacity. Yes, that means you're increasing the capacity. Then obviously you are eligible for business. Question like this in theory can come. Ki what actually defines? आपने project तो याद कर लिया, but also at the same time you have to remember that there should be substantial new thing coming up. ऐसे यहाँ पे renovation and modernization लिखा हुआ है of the existing network, but renovation and modernization means at least by 50% of it. At least by 50% of it. यहाँ पे भी सेम है. You will get the reduction of 100% for 10 consecutive assessment years out of 15 years beginning from the year when you commence the operation. और यहाँ पे भी सेम conditions हैं that you cannot start a business with second-hand plant and machinery. If you're using second-hand plant and machinery, it should not exceed 20% of the total value of the plant and machinery. और वो revival of the power generation plant, कोई plant है power generation में, you're reviving that. उसके लिए भी you get the same reduction, which is again your same deduction goes 10 years out of 15 years, 100% deduction allowed. So this is only ATIA. ATIA में again I'll repeat 4 main categories: infrastructure, facility, industrial park, power generation, distribution, and revival of power plants. सबके लिए main it is 10 out of 15, but for certain roads, bridges, port, etc. के लिए it is 10 out of 20. And this is the tax holiday. You have to remember, sunset period याद होता है, it would be well and good, very well and good. कोई भी assessee who is taking alternate tax regime, चाहे वो company हो, individual हो, or cooperative societies हो, they are not eligible for ATIA. Got it? Shall we move to next? अभी सब में यही है, बट धीरे धीरे सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ द क्लास वुड बी मोर इंटरेस्टिंग टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज योर ATIAB. डेवलपमेंट ऑफ स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन. सो वहां पे डेवलपमेंट ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल पार्क एंड SEZ दोनों कवर है. हियर डेवलपमेंट ऑफ स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन्स आर कवर्ड. सो यू शुड बी someone who has developed a special economic zone between April 2005 to April 2017 or March 2017. You will get the deduction for 10 consecutive assessment years out of 15 years and 100% of the profits. So you are someone who is again not someone who's operating in SEZ, but someone who has been into the development. You are a developer of a special economic zone. Then only you can claim the deduction. How much deductions? 100% for 10 out of 15 years would be allowed. But यहाँ पे operations date is 2005 से 31st March 17. If you have started an operation or developing in SEZ before 2005, it will go under ATIA, वो industrial park वाला condition. Again, audit is mandatory. Again, यहाँ पे भी you have to remember that you have to file the return on time. No assessee who has taken the alternate tax regime would be eligible for deductions. Computation सब में same है, which I explained to you. नेक्स्ट वाला इंटरेस्टिंग है बिकॉज इसमें एक चेंज भी आया है दिस ईयर एंड दिस इज इंटरेस्टिंग ऑल्सो. ATIAC. और ATIAC का reference you have seen in a lot of sections. You have seen in section 79, there is reference in section 56 too. There's a reference at a lot of sections. ठीक है. ATIAC जैसे ही mind में आए startups, IAC startups. A business carried on by eligible startup engaged in innovation, development or improvement of products or process or services or a scalable business model with a high potential of employment generation or wealth creation. अब यहाँ पे वो startup should be either formed as a company or an LLP and should start its incorporation should be done between 1st April 2016 to 31st March 2025. So you still have the sunset period here to claim or to be eligible to claim ATIAC. Any startup which gets incorporated after 31st March 2025 would not be eligible for tax holiday period. Tax holiday period यहाँ पे बहुत interesting है. 3 consecutive assessment years out of 10 years. बिगिनिंग फ्रॉम द ईयर इन विच कंपनी और एलएलपी इज इनकॉर्पोरेटेड। सिर्फ 3 साल का टैक्स हॉलिडे है। यू कैन चूज द 3 years. दैट कैन बी एनी 3 year. इन द फर्स्ट 10 years इट कैन बी ईयर 6, 7, 8. इट कैन बी ईयर 7, 8, 9. इट कैन बी ईयर 8, 9, 10. ऑब्वियसली एज अ स्टार्टअप यू हैव टू सी कि आपको प्रॉफिट्स कब होंगी एंड जहां ज्यादा जिस ईयर में यू आर interpreting a higher profit, you will claim the deduction in that year, right? Obviously. And deduction कितना मिलेगा? 100% of the profits and gains of the business of a profession. अब interesting question coming up कि यहाँ पे additional conditions जो you have to remember are eligible startup. Basically क्या होते हैं? Eligible startup यहाँ पे लिख दिया, the one which is incorporated between April 16 to 31st March 25. But उसके साथ साथ when you are claiming the deduction, for that year, your turnover should not exceed 100 crores. Earlier, this turnover was 25 crores, but Finance Act 2020 says this turnover was increased to 100 crores. So, in the year when you are claiming the deduction, your turnover should not cross 100 crores. You should be having a certificate of Interministerial Board of Certification. You should be registered with DPIIT. Whenever you are any startup which starts, the first condition is that they should be registered with Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. Okay, uske saath they have to get registered. Then they should have a certification from the ministry. And obviously, they should be into the business of innovation, development, improvement of products, process, or services with a scalable business model. India, there are a lot of startups, 10,000 startups, but trust me, the one which are eligible for ATIAC, I think hardly 10% होंगे, hardly 1,000 in numbers होंगे, because you have to get registered, you have to get a certificate from ministry, and all these conditions should be there. Then only you are eligible for the deduction. So, खाली certificate of DPIIT is not important. उसके साथ साथ you should fulfill the conditions of ATIAC पूरा to get the tax holiday period. अब tax holiday क्या है? 100% profit मिलेगा in any of the 3 out of 10 years. पहले क्या था? 3 out of 7 years था, but now 3 out of 10 years है. But remember, startup should not be formed by splitting up. Startup में कोई second hand machinery नहीं होनी चाहिए more than 20% of the total value, and you should not be claiming the deduction under any other section. Annual accounts आपके audit होने चाहिए, certificate होना चाहिए. In fact, whenever you go for the ministry approval, you have to put the copies of your last 3 financial years income tax returns, you have to put the annual accounts of last 3 financial year, you have to put the memorandum, तब जाके ministry का certification मिलता है, ऐसे नहीं मिलता. DPIIT फर्स्ट स्टेज होता है स्टार्टअप के साथ रजिस्टर करने का. Then you go to the ministry to get the documents, to get the final certification, and then only you will be eligible for ATIAC. DPIIT अलग है, income tax का benefit अलग है. Because DPIIT में even an partnership firm can get registered as a startup, to be very honest. But ATIAC के लिए only company and LLPs are there. DPIIT का certification you can take anytime, whenever you're starting a startup. But ATIAC में you have to be incorporated by 31st March 2025. बिजनेस वगैरह सब कुछ सेम है, टेन्योर सब सेम है, टोटल टर्नओवर सब सेम है, बट दिस इज द बेसिक थिंग विच यू हैव टू रिमेंबर. यहाँ पे सेकेंड हैंड मशीनरी का भी एक कंडीशन है टू क्लेम ATIAC. यू शुड नॉट हैव द सेकेंड हैंड मशीनरी ऑफ मोर देन 20% ऑफ द टोटल वैल्यू ऑफ प्लांट एंड मशीनरी. So whenever we'll be talking about 54GB, or whenever we are talking about section 79, section ATIAC, all of the conditions which are mentioned in ATIAC get applies. बाकी टैक्स हॉलिडे वो सेम ही होगा. In any of the 3 out of 7 years you can claim. Clear? एक बारी quickly go through all these 3, then we'll move to IA से IB वाला list.
मैम आपने डिफरेंस में ये बताया ना कि DPIIT में पार्टनरशिप भी इंक्लूड हो सकता है,
हाँ,
और ATIAC
DPIIT what? DPIIT गवर्नमेंट का डिपार्टमेंट है जहाँ पे स्टार्टअप रजिस्टर्स होते हैं.
हम्म.
ठीक है, तो वहां पे कोई भी जाके अपने आप को रजिस्टर करा सकता है, कंपनी, फर्म्स, LLP, तीनों में से कोई भी. बट
हाँ.
ATIAC के लिए रिस्ट्रिक्टेड है कि यू शुड बी अ कंपनी, सॉरी, You
कंपनी
should be
और
a
LLP.
company and LLP only.
ओके.
एंड आपके साथ साथ आपको मिनिस्ट्री का सर्टिफिकेशन भी चाहिए. ठीक है.
ओके.
सो यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन में कैन बी क्वेश्चन कमिंग टू सी योर कॉमन सेंस एंड नॉलेज कैन कम लाइक you are registered with DPIIT, but you are yet to get the certifications of the ministry, etc. Then you are not eligible for ATIAC. Just DPIIT registered startups, because all registered startups are not eligible for ATIAC, but yes, all eligible ATIAC startups are the one which are registered with DPIIT.
यस मैम. क्लियर.
Okay.
थैंक यू मैम.
आई होप बोरिंग ना लग रहा हो, बिकॉज ये है ऑनेस्टली. कहीं पे भी कोई डाउट हो, प्लीज प्लीज लेट मी नो. So now we proceed to our next one. किसी को कोई डाउट? Anyone has any doubt? Mansha, पूनम, समझ आ रहा है? Perfect. Now we move on to ATIB. अब ATIB में भी if you see, it's not just one type of business. ATI infrastructure facilities, telecommunication facilities, जो major level facilities होती है which are required, industrial parks and your power generations, वो सब है. ठीक है. Then ATIAB में special economic zone, ATIAC में startups. Now ATIB is more about businesses which are derived from industrial undertaking in backward area, which is undertaking engaged in production of mineral oils, natural gas, etc., housing project, and processing, preservation and packaging of specified products. IB में बहुत सारे eligible businesses थे, to be very honest, but बहुतों पे sunset clause लग गया and most of them are now out. Sunset clause लगने के बाद उनके 10 years भी खत्म हो गए and most of them are now out. फॉर योर नॉलेज, जैसे उसमें शिप्स थे, होटल्स थे, मल्टीपल थिएटर्स थे, कन्वेंशन सेंटर्स थे, a lot of eligible businesses were there actually, certain industrial undertakings में lot of them were there, but उनका tax holiday period is खत्म because they want to be supposed to be end by started by 2002 at max or 2003. अब वो 10 years उस डेट से ऑलमोस्ट खत्म हो चुके हैं. सो इसलिए आईबी में अभी कब क्या पता है, खाली बैकवर्ड एरिया, मिनरल ऑयल, हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट एंड प्रिजर्वेशन, पैकेजिंग ऑफ सर्टेन स्पेसिफाइड फूड. और फर्स्ट में अगर मैं बात करूं, वो भी इन्होंने हटा दिया बेसिकली, इज फॉर हैविंग एन इंडस्ट्रियल अंडरटेकिंग इन बैकवर्ड एरिया. उसमें खाली जेएनके और बाकी सबका सनसेट क्लॉज आ गया और जेएनके का भी कभी भी आ सकता है, तो वो भी दे हैव रिमूव्ड फॉर यू नाउ. For you now to study, it's basically your processing, preservation, and packaging of fruits, vegetables, or meat, and meat products of poultry or marine or dairy products, or from the integrated business of handling, storage, and transportation of food grades. खाली ये ही टाइप का बिजनेस इसमें रखा हुआ है. एंड अगेन यहाँ पे कोई डिडक्शन नहीं है. आउट ऑफ 15 you have an option to claim. There is no option to claim. You have to claim the tax holiday from 10 consecutive assessment years, beginning with the initial assessment years. अभी तक starting में अभी हमने पढ़ा, they have an option that out of 15 years or out of 20 years or out of first 10 years, they can pick the tax holiday period, right? But ATIB wali list onwards, there is no this out of this wala condition. You have to claim the tax holiday for the first 10 years itself. और उसमें से भी first 10 years में भी 100% of the profits and gains is derived first 5 years के लिए 100%, और नेक्स्ट 5 years के लिए 25%। हाँ, और अगर आप कंपनी से सीओ तो 30% हो जाता है, देन 30% हो जाता है, बट अदरवाइज 100% for first 5 business years and 25% for next 5, and कंपनी से हो तो 25 की जगह 30% हो जाता है। तो yes, this is the types of tax holiday you have to remember. So cooperative societies हो तो 100 first 5 years, 25 नेक्स्ट 7 years, बिकॉज कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी के लिए एक जगह 12 पीरियड है, बट हाँ उसके अलावा कंपनी हो 100% फर्स्ट 5 years, 30% नेक्स्ट 5 years, अदर एसेसीज हो 100% फर्स्ट 5 years, 25% इन नेक्स्ट 5 years। अब इसमें हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स कौन से, अगर आप डिटेल्ड में जाओगे ना, फिर रीड इट, हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स यहाँ पे अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स है, विच आर बेसिकली इनटू अ मिनिमम एरिया ऑफ 2000 स्क्वायर फीट में आपने छोटे छोटे घर बनाए हैं 60-90 स्क्वायर मीटर्स के, विच आर नॉट एक्सीडिंग 45 lakhs ऑफ द स्टैम्प ड्यूटी वैल्यू, वो सब इसमें कवर्ड हो जाता है, ठीक है। एंड योर प्रोजेक्ट शुड बी कंप्लीटेड विद इन 5 years, दैट हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट इज कवर्ड अप हियर, दैट हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट इज कवर्ड अप हियर। If you'll go in detail, you will get to study that. Ma'am, if we are claiming any alternate tax regime, will we be allowed to claim the deduction? The answer is no. Have 115 BA do, 115 BAA, 115 BAB, BAC, BAD, BAE, any type of deduction, if any type of alternate tax regime, if you're opting, you would not be allowed for the deduction.
मैम इसके अंदर लिखा हुआ है कि वन आफ्टर 149 एंड आफ्टर 14/2001, तो यानी ये अभी भी कंटिन्यूएशन में है कि अभी भी अगर कोई बिजनेस यानी चालू होता है तो उनको ये एटीआई भी मिलेगा?
तो सनसेट पीरियड नहीं लिखा हुआ ना, मैं बताती हूँ एक सेकेंड। फॉर
एटीआई भी?
ITI भी बता रही हूँ। when we talk about processing, preservation and packaging, उसके लिए it is still after, हाँ ये कोई भी एलिजिबल बिजनेस होता है उसके लिए इट इज स्टिल आफ्टर योर 1 April 2001, बट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट प्रोसेसिंग, पैकेजिंग, मटेरियल, मीट प्रोडक्ट्स एक्सेट्रा, दे वर अवेलेबल विद इन दिस, they have started the business after 1 April 2009, but यहाँ पे then there is no sunset period for these.
यानी अभी भी करेंगे तो उनको ये मिल सकता है?
यस, बट हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स वगैरह जो इसमें पहले थे उन सबके लिए सनसेट पीरियड था, और बाकी जो आपके इंडस्ट्री, बैकवर्ड इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए थी उनके लिए था। इसमें इसमें इनफैक्ट मिनरल ऑयल्स वगैरह भी है, इफ यू रीड इट इन डिटेल्स, उनके लिए भी सनसेट पीरियड इज 31 March 2017, अंदर है वो डिटेल्स सारी, ठीक है।
ओके।
अभी इस इनके लिए जितना ये पढ़ाया जा रहा है उतना बेटर है, और एक बार ही बस एलिजिबल एसएससीज लिख देना कि वेयर कंपनी इज देयर, वेयर इज इंडिविजुअल इज देयर, वो सब ठीक है। उसके अलावा इट इज मोर देन इनफ, डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट। नेक्स्ट वी मूव ऑन टू ATIBA। IBA भी हटा देते हैं इसमें से, अच्छा नहीं है। Everyone on the screen, please. This is again for housing projects or rental housing projects. और interestingly यहाँ पे रेंटिंग हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स ऑलरेडी 2001 में इंसर्ट किया गया था ये वर्ड, बट अभी तक उसके लिए नोटिफिकेशंस वगैरह येट टू कम। ध्यान से सुनना, क्वेश्चन कैन कम फ्रॉम दिस, आई विल टेल यू हाउ आल्सो। 100% of the profits which are derived from the business of developing and building housing project can be claimed as the deduction. And housing project, क्योंकि they can take years to come, so you can claim the revenue as per ICDS 3. ICDS 3 कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बताया था ना, जिसमें you have to take the revenue basis your percentage of completion method. I'll tell you a question also. उसके बेस पे you calculate revenue, उसके बेस पे you calculate the cost, उसके बेस पे you calculate the profit, and based on that you will claim the reduction. But yes, you should be someone who has taken the approval of such housing project from the government between June 16 टू 31 March 2022 अप्रूवल लेने की बात हो रही है। और ये हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स नहीं है, दीज आर बिग प्रोजेक्ट्स विच आर डेवलप्ड इन अ लार्ज एरिया ऑफ 1,000-1,500 स्क्वायर फीट एंड मिनिमम 1 करोड़ 1 एकड़ का प्लॉट है, उसमें 1,000 के यू आर मेंटेनिंग दी हाउसेस, ठीक है। उसमें बिल्डअप एरिया का भी कंडीशन है, बट रिमेंबर यू हैव टू टेक द अप्रूवल विद इन द स्पेसिफाइड date. A project should be completed within 5 years from the end of the financial year in which the product was approved. अगर 5 years में नहीं project complete हुआ and you have taken any deduction under this particular section, that would be reversed and would be taxed as your business income. अब एक illustration देते हैं. Let's try to do an illustration from it. सपोज करो एक प्रोजेक्ट की कॉस्ट है 4 करोड़, ठीक है। उसका रेवेन्यू है 5 करोड़, ठीक है। अब अभी तक आउट ऑफ दैट प्रोजेक्ट वी हैव almost covered 90 lakhs in year 1 as cost. ईयर 2 में टोटल कॉस्ट हो गई थी, टोटल कॉस्ट मैं बोल रही हूँ, से 2 करोड़, ठीक है। ईयर 3 में टोटल कॉस्ट हो गई थी से, चलो पूरा ही खत्म हो गया सपोज, 3 साल में ही खत्म हो गया पूरा, ठीक है। अब ईयर 1 में ऑलमोस्ट 22.5% कंप्लीशन हुआ, राइट। ईयर 2 में 50% कंप्लीशन हो गया और ईयर 3 में 100% कंप्लीशन हो गया, राइट। ईयर 1 की कॉस्ट यहाँ पे 90 lakhs, यहाँ पे 110 lakhs। एडिशनल कॉस्ट अगर मैं देखूं एवरी ईयर की, 2 करोड़ माइनस 90 lakhs, ओके। एंड इसकी 200 lakhs, राइट। अब रेवेन्यू कितना रिकग्नाइज करूंगी एवरी ईयर, 5 करोड़ का 22.5%, इज 1 करोड़ 12,50,000, यहाँ पे 2 करोड़ 50 lakhs, और यहाँ पे पूरा का पूरा 5 करोड़, राइट। टोटल रेवेन्यू ऑफ ईच ईयर रिस्पेक्टिवली कितना हो गया, इस साल का कितना एडिशनल हुआ, एक करोड़ 37,50,000, ये ऐसा क्वेश्चन ऑनेस्टली आ सकता है, ठीक है। और इस साल का कितना एडिशनल हुआ, 2.5 करोड़, ठीक है। अब प्रॉफिट कितना हुआ एवरी ईयर, दिस माइनस दिस, ये तो क्यूमुलेटिव रेवेन्यू जितना आपको करना है, ये क्यूमुलेटिव कॉस्ट होगी, ठीक है। दिस माइनस दिस, इस साल हुआ 27,50,000, इस साल हुआ 50 लाख, एंड इस साल हुआ 22,50,000, राइट। So what is the eligible deduction under 80 IDA is this 22,50,000, 27,50,000 and 50 lakhs. क्वेश्चन विल कम बेस्ड ऑन दिस डिटेल्स एंड दे विल जस्ट टेल यू कि आप निकालो हाउ मच इज द रिडक्शन अंडर एटीआई बीए. तो आपने आईसीडीएस सब अप्लाई किया यहाँ पे एंड एटीआई बीए अप्लाई किया, यू आर डन विद इट.
मैम आपके इस एग्जांपल में ये 110 lakhs आपके यानी कैसे कैलकुलेट किया आपने?
ये मैंने कैलकुलेट नहीं किया, ये मैंने हाइपोथेटिकली लिया है.
ओके.
मतलब ये मेरे को क्वेश्चन था कि 90 lakhs टोटल कॉस्ट हो गया था ईयर 1 तक, 2 करोड़ टोटल कॉस्ट हो गया था ईयर 2 तक. तो
हम्म.
91 ईयर 1 में खर्च हो गया, टोटल कॉस्ट ईयर 2 तक 2 करोड़ हो गया था. दैट मीन्स एडिशनली कितना खर्च किया ईयर 2 में एक्सक्लूसिवली 2 करोड़ माइनस 90 lakhs. ये क्यूमुलेटिव वैल्यूज हैं, तो
ओके.
मैंने हर साल की रिस्पेक्टिव वैल्यू निकाल दी.
हम्म.
गॉट इट?
यस मैम. और ये 1 crore 12 lakh 50,000 ये भी हाइपोथेटिकल है?
देखो ना, ये मेरे को दिया हुआ था कि 5 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू है.
हम्म.
आपको क्वेश्चन में ये भी दिया हो सकता है कि 4 करोड़ का टोटल कॉस्ट है, 5 करोड़ का टोटल रेवेन्यू है, और ईयर 1 तक इतना खर्चा हुआ, ईयर 2 तक इतना कंप्लीशन हुआ, और ईयर 3 में जाके 100% कंप्लीट हो गया. तो
हम्म.
यू जस्ट हैव टू कंप्यूट कि 9, अगर मैंने 9 ईयर 1 में अगर 22.5% कंप्लीट हुआ है तो 4 करोड़ का 90 lakhs हैज बीन स्पेंड.
ओके.
सिमिलरली ईयर 2 तक जाके 50% पूरा कंप्लीट हो गया तो 4 करोड़ का 50% हैज बीन स्पेंड.
हम्म.
सिर्फ दो फिगर्स दी हो सकती है, यू हैव टू कंप्यूट एवरी ईयर का प्रॉफिट. और वो कैसे निकलेगा? बाय कंप्यूटिंग एवरी ईयर का कॉस्ट एंड बाय कंप्यूटिंग एवरी ईयर का रेवेन्यू.
ओके मैम.
ओके.
क्लियर मैम. थैंक यू.
क्वेश्चन दोनों तरीके से दिया सकते हैं. क्वेश्चन आपको ये वाली कॉस्ट इनकट दे सकते हैं, ठीक है, कि दीज आर द टोटल कॉस्ट इनकट टिल डेट of year 1 till date of year 2 till date of year 3. Then you will calculate the percentage, और उस percentage के बेस पे you will calculate the revenue, and उस percentage के बेस पे you will calculate each year का cost additional कितना आया. So based on the figures, ultimately you have to see what is given and you have to come to the concept of it. The point is you are applying percentage of completion method where based on the percentage of the product completed you recognize the revenue.
यस मैम.
ठीक है. अब एक बार ये रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्नाइज हो गया, तो रेवेन्यू माइनस कॉस्ट इज द प्रॉफिट. प्रॉफिट वंस रिकॉग्नाइज दैट इज एलिजिबल फॉर डिडक्शन अंडर एटीआई बीए.
यस मैम.
गॉट इट?
यस मैम. मैम आपका कैमरा बंद है?
या कैमरा बंद है?
यस मैम.
ओह सॉरी, वो क्लिक हो गया होगा.
थैंक यू मैम.
थैंक यू सो मच. इज इट क्लियर एवरीवन? विघ्नेश सब प्रेजेंट है ना माइंडफुली भी? परफेक्ट मंशा, थैंक यू. एटीआई को कैसे याद रखेंगे? विच इज द नेक्स्ट डिडक्शन कमिंग अप. So एटीआई को याद करने का सबसे सिंपलेस्ट तरीका इज IE for Northeastern states. So this was basically to promote, this particular section was came to promote your Northeastern states by undertaking. Again, because it's a area less explored earlier. So if any industrial undertaking is coming up in a northeastern state which is doing a specified service or a manufacturing activity there, and northeastern states में कौन से आ जाएंगे? अरुणाचल प्रदेश, असम, मणिपुर, मेघालय, मिजोरम, नागालैंड, सिक्किम, त्रिपुरा, सब. So any SSE who is doing there the business, then 100% of the profit for 10 years would be allowed as deduction. Service sector में service कैसे कर सकते हो? You can do any service, like maybe you are opening an hotel of 2-star and above category, you are into any adventure, leisure, sports, ropeways, you are into any medical or health services of an hospital of at least 25 beds, you are running an old age home, you are into biotechnology, you are into training centers, you are into information technology, you are running any वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट फॉर होटल मैनेजमेंट, केटरिंग एक्सेट्रा, या आप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में हो ऑफ एनी गुड्स अदर देन पान मसाला, प्लास्टिक्स एक्सेट्रा, then you will be allowed as deduction provided if it commence in operation between April 2007 to 31st March 17. And 10 assessment days ka you will get the deduction. Audit is mandatory. Filing of return on time is mandatory. You should not be formed by splitting up. Second-hand machinery should not be more than 20% of your total value. And if you're claiming alternate tax regime, you will not be allowed as deduction for this particular section. और वो ट्रांसफर ऑफ टू यूनिट्स वाला जो कॉन्सेप्ट स्टार्टिंग में समझाया था, दैट इज एप्लीकेबल फॉर एवरीवन. नेक्स्ट, ये तो एटीआई की लिस्ट खत्म हो गई. सो आईए वाला लिस्ट इज अबाउट, again let's recall quickly, it's about infrastructure facility, industrial park, okay. Infrastructure facilities, industrial park, power undertakings, and revival of power plants. ATIAB, special economic zone. ATIC, startup. So I वाला list is all about heavy types of businesses. And उसमें options है 10 out of 20, 10 out of 15, 3 out of 10. ठीक है. यहाँ then IB वाला list is like general preservation of food products. IBA housing projects पे आ गया. And IE is Northeastern states. So easily याद हो जाएगा. अच्छा, एक और चीज यहाँ पे बहुत इंटरेस्टिंगली दिस क्वेश्चन केम एंड इट कैन कम एज अ क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो. अब देखो, this is basically about what? The deduction which we studied about the business profits, the profit which is coming for this respective business. Okay, this was the condition. Now अब हो सकता है ना, business profits could be increased because of disallowances. Suppose I showed a business profit of 100 lakhs, but auditor ने एक disallowance कर दिया under से 40AI of 10 lakhs. Now my taxable business profit is 110 lakhs, right? Now the question is whether the deduction under chapter 6A would be allowed on this 100 lakhs or 110 lakhs, because the deduction is of the business profit. So 100 पे मिलेगा या 110 पे मिलेगा? That is the question. So किस पे I would be allowed as deduction? Think. First of all, question समझ आया कि all these deductions which we just discussed are on business profits. But अब business profits का क्या मतलब है? Business profit is the profit which is ultimately which I was showing before disallowances. मतलब disallowances से अगर, क्योंकि disallowances है, that means taxable business profit would be increased. Yes. So if taxable business profit is getting increased, so which one has to be considered? Before disallowances वाला या after disallowances वाला final which is coming outside under the head of the PGBP? बिफोर डिसअलाउंसेस. सी टेक्निकली हम सबको लगेगा कि क्यों डिसअलाउंस का बेनिफिट भी टैक्स हॉलिडे पे मिल रहा है, बट अ सर्कुलर केम बैक इन 2016 व्हिच सेड दैट this is on taxable business profit, and taxable business profit is the one which is finally getting taxed. So if any disallowances is enhancing my business profit, that has to be considered, and the reduction under chapter 6A would be admissible on the profit so enhanced by the disallowance. See, we understand this is ultimately you're not doing the compliance, and that's why this is a disallowance, but they are giving you 100% of the profits at your deduction under chapter 6A. अब हाँ, उस केस में एक फॉल्ट हो सकता है जहाँ पे कुछ ईयर्स में 30% ही मिल रहा है डिडक्शन या 25% ही मिल रहा है, वहां पे ऑब्वियसली डिसअलाउंसेस से प्रॉफिट्स बढ़ेंगे, प्रॉफिट से डिडक्शन ऑफ 30% वुड बी अगेन अलाउड, 25% वुड बी अगेन अलाउड. इसे बहुत सारे लिटिगेशन से, बट नाउ दिस इज अ सेटल्ड पोजीशन बाय अ सर्कुलर. So before we go to the break, there is two more section which is 80JJA, 180JJA, single A है, and one more section about 80M, which talks about 80LA, which talks about tax holiday. ठीक है, so वो दो sections को cover करके tax holiday period का सब sections cover हो जाएगा, and then we'll take a break. Next deduction which you can see on your screen is about deduction in respects of profits and gains of a business who's into collecting and processing of a biodegradable waste. Now biodegradable waste क्या होता है? बायोडिग्रेडेबल वेस्ट इज समथिंग जिसमें आप बेसिकली वेस्ट को डिकम्पोज होने लगते हो या विदाउट एनी what do you say mechanical process but something related to a manual process and then वो biodegradable waste use होता है either for generating power या you are producing a biofertilizer you're producing a biopesticides pesticides वगैरह harmful हो सकते हैं but biofertilizer biopesticides biogas या organic manure ये सब अगर आप काम करते हो so you are covered under the eligible SSC का deduction you will get 100% deduction from such business for 5 consecutive years commencing from the year in which you start the business. And again, any person who is claiming the alternate tax regime is not allowed for the deduction. So 80JJAA is for the biogas. 5 out of 10 allowed. Sorry, not 5 out of 10. Out of 10 तो खाली IA वाली list में 5 consecutive years are allowed, but 100% profit is allowed. इसमें कुछ है ही नहीं as such इतना important. Next section which covers the tax holiday is your not 80JJAA but 80LA. JJAA पे we start after the break. 80LA quickly. इसमें भी कुछ ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा. This is in relation to banking units. Basically, income of an offshore banking units or an IFSC. So if you are a scheduled bank having an offshore banking unit in a SEZ. So SEZ में जब आप maintain करते हो, you are in a way operating in an outer territory, not in Indian territory, right? So if you are a scheduled bank जिसका offshore banking unit SEZ में है, or if you are a foreign bank जिसका banking unit SEZ में है, or you are an IFSC, or you are a unit in an IFSC. तीनों सिचुएशन यहाँ पे बैंकिंग नहीं है तीनों सिचुएशंस में किसको स्केड्यूल बैंक को या एक फॉरेन बैंक को या एक यूनिट ऑफ आईएफएससी को दे गेट द डिडक्शन ऑफ 100% ऑफ द इनकम which they are getting from such business for any out of the 10 consecutive years out of 15 years ये आईएफएससी के लिए अदर्स के लिए 100% डिडक्शन फॉर योर 10 consecutive years बट इसको ऐसे याद करते हैं फर्स्ट 5 के लिए 50% है ना हाँ ये रिड्यूस कर दिया था वैसे याद करते हैं एवरीवन ऑन द स्क्रीन प्लीज तो अगर आप यूनिट ऑफ आईएफएससी हो सिंपल तो 100% डिडक्शंस फॉर 10 out of 15 you can claim the deductions again this would be again starting from the period when you have commenced the business but if you are a scheduled bank or a overseas bank unit sorry for the handwriting if you are a scheduled bank or an overseas bank unit this change came थोड़ी देर पहले तो first 5 consecutive years के लिए 100% next 5 के लिए 50% बट इसमें भी डेढ़ ऐसे करेंगे हम ऐसे रखते हैं 50% फॉर योर assessment year up to 22-23 so this change came फर्स्ट 5 के लिए 100% नेक्स्ट 5 के लिए अगर वो नेक्स्ट 5 आपके असेसमेंट ईयर फॉल कर रहे हैं अप टू 22-23 50% बट इफ योर नेक्स्ट 5 आर आल्सो फॉलिंग आफ्टर 23-24 और फ्रॉम 23-24 देन 100% सो अगर द नेक्स्ट 5 years आर फॉलिंग सपोज इन 22-23 अब सपोज करो ईयर 6 ईयर 7 ईयर 8 and year 9. अभी मैं सिर्फ ये लिए. This was in 21-22. This is 22-23 assessment year. This is 23-24 and this is 24-25. तो इस साल का जो भी प्रॉफिट होगा उसका 50% यू विल क्लेम. इस साल का जो भी प्रॉफिट होगा उसका भी 50% यू विल क्लेम. बट इस साल का प्रॉफिट एंड इस साल का प्रॉफिट का 100% यू विल क्लेम. द लिमिट वाज एनहांस्ड विद इफेक्ट फ्रॉम असेसमेंट ईयर 23-24. और ईयर 1 to 5 का तो वैसे भी यू कैन क्लेम 100% एनी विच वे. ठीक है, इसको ऐसे ही याद करोगे तो इट वुड बी इजी. आईएफएससी को ऑप्शन है 10 out of 15 का. इन लोगों को ऑप्शन नहीं, इनको फर्स्ट 10 years में ही लेना है. दिस इज द ब्रेकअप. मिताली, इज इट क्लियर? पूनम? यस, यहाँ पे भी चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट का रिपोर्ट लगेगा. उसके अलावा कॉपी ऑफ परमिशन ऑफ बैंकिंग यूनिट लगेगा. हाँ, यहाँ पे एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है. इफ यू आर क्लेमिंग योर डिडक्शन ऑफ एन आईएफएससी वाला, ठीक है, दैट आईएफएससी कैन बी क्लेम बाय एनी एसएससी. सो इफ यू आर क्लेमिंग अंडर 115 बीएसी, बीएए और बीएडी, देन आईएफएससी वाला वुड बी अलाउड. ये यहाँ पे ही इसी टेबल में नोट कर लो. Allowed to, this one is allowed to 115 BAC, 115 BAD and 115 BAA. यूनिट ऑफ आईएफएससी. बैंक्स तो वैसे भी आउट है. ये वाला इन लोगों को मिल जाएगा, ऑल्टरनेट टैक्स रेजिम वालों को. तो अब सेक्शन से यू विल पिक अप द, और बिजनेस से यू विल पिक अप द एलिजिबल सेक्शन, एंड एलिजिबल सेक्शन से यू विल रिमेंबर द टैक्स हॉलिडे पीरियड, रिमेंबर टैक्स हॉलिडे पीरियड से यू विल रिमेंबर द क्वांटम ऑफ डिडक्शन. अब पोस्ट ब्रेक वी विल स्टार्ट विद 80 जेजेएए. अब सारे इंटरेस्टिंग वाले, टैक्स हॉलिडे पीरियड नहीं है, अब कुछ कंडीशंस वाले. ठीक है, so we start with 80 JJAA, then we'll move on to your 80C, 80 QQR, RRB, interesting वाले. ठीक है, so let's see you after a short quick break. So, welcome back, everyone. Everyone fresh and back to the energy. So, now we are at the last leg of our deductions. So, let's begin. बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग सेक्शन है 80JJAA. So, this is deduction in respect of new employees. I hope my screen is visible, my camera is on, everything is clear. ठीक है. So, ये section क्यों है? Again, this is not respect for certain incomes, but it is in this particular section. It is JJAA and as the name suggests, new आप जितना employment generate करोगे, the more employment you generate, the more benefit is it's for the economy, right? One of the main motives of the economy or the government is to generate more employment. So more employment is generated, the more beneficial it would be for the economy, and hence to incentivize that, government came up with a reduction called 80JJAA. Now this deduction actually is applicable to any and everyone, any and every SSC who is liable for a tax audit. जिसपे tax audit लगता है, they can claim this deduction. As simple as that. कोई और audit लगता है नहीं, but if tax audit is there, they can claim the deduction. So can I say someone, an SSE who has a turnover of more than 10 crores, definitely would be eligible for it. An SSE who's having a turnover of between 1 to 10 crore, then you have to see that cash payment and cash receipts wala section. And अगर वो नहीं eligible होता for tax audit, no matter how much employment he or she is generating, he would not be eligible for 80JJAA. और डिडक्शन यहाँ पे क्या मिलेगी? सो डिडक्शन यहाँ पे गाइस मिलेगी व्हेन यू आर क्रिएटिंग अ न्यू एम्प्लॉयमेंट. न्यू एम्प्लॉयमेंट मतलब इसको कैसे कैलकुलेट करें? सपोज एवरी month I'm hiring 20 people, but then there are 5 people leaving also, 10 people leaving also. So how one actually has to calculate this new employment? New employment कैसे calculate करेंगे? If I'm into a new business, I just started the business, this is year 1, so obviously all employees are my new employees. All employees are the new employees. जितना भी new employees, जितने भी employees हैं, वो सारे के सारे new employees हैं. हाँ, but if I talk about an old or existing business or year 2 or so on forward, then how would I decide that what is the new employee? उसमें simple उन्होंने कहा कि opening of the year में जितने employees थे, closing of the years में जितने employees थे, difference of that is basically your new employees. और if data is specifically given to you कि कितने employees आए, कितने छोड़ के चले गए, then you exclude them. But closing and opening में if there is an increment in the staff, then only it would be considered as new employees. Otherwise, new employment would not be generated. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि suppose करो beginning of the year में I had 100 people, I hired 30 more, but by the end of the year 40 left. Even if I've hired new employees, but at the end of the year 40 left, I would not be eligible for reduction of 80JJAA. There has to be an increase in the number of fours from the opening and the closing. Okay, got it? Now, this तो हो गया. This is new employees, we have understood. Deduction किसका मिलेगा? See, deduction मिलेगा emoluments का. अब emoluments is a very wide word. Emoluments means something, it can be monetary also, non-monetary also. But since the section use the word emolument paid or payable, that means we'll be picking up only monetary items. Only monetary items. This is the school of thought which has been developed. Okay. Emolument is something which is bigger than your basic salary, wage, etc. You can be given salary, you can be given commission. So what to understand is emoluments are something which is your monetary amount, because वैसे emoluments includes both perquisite and monetary part. But since the term of the act use emoluments paid, so it's better to take up the monetary one. So deduction यहाँ पे under section 80JJAA would be emoluments जितना भी new employees को मिला, whatever is given to the new employees, not to the regular employees. To the new regular मतलब not to the one which were already in system, जो नए hire हुए, to the new employees का whatever the emolument is paid during the year, 30% deduction would be given. 30% deduction would be given. And you know what is interesting is this 30% deduction would not be given just for year 1. Same deduction would be given to you for year 2 and year 3 also. Year 2 and year 3 also. Suppose new employees का cost for the year is say 20 lakhs. 20 lakhs is the new employees की salary. टोटल जितने भी न्यू एम्प्लॉयज थे उनका 12 महीने का टोटल सैलरी जितना भी पे किया was 20 lakhs. 20 lakhs का 30%, that means 6 lakhs each year would be allowed to you as a deduction in year 1, year 2, year 3 because you generated employment during the year. ठीक है. अब इसमें एक ऑब्वियसली कंडीशन है. अब मैं किसी को एक दिन रख के न्यू एम्प्लॉय नहीं मानूंगी. देयर आर कंडीशंस व्हिच यू हैव टू कंसीडर, व्हिच आई विल लेट यू नो. So whatever is the salary paid to them during the year would be considered as deduction. Yes, interestingly, ये 20 lakhs का salary deduction वो section 37 में भी लेंगे while computing the business profit, and also this 20 lakhs का 30%, that is 90% is allowed in 3 years while computing the final taxable income. दोनों ही मिलेंगे, एक तरीके से दोनों ही मिलेंगे. This is an additional deduction for that salary which you are paying. अब इसमें employees I'm saying, so any trainee, any casual workers, any interns which are not on payroll, they are excluded. Number 1. Number 2, what all are excluded from the term employees? ऐसे तो मैं हायर कर लूं सबको फॉर क्लेमिंग द डिडक्शन एट अ गुड पैकेज और मेरे को ऐसे डिडक्शन मिल जाएगी, तो वो सब नहीं आएंगे. एनी एम्प्लॉय who has been paid salary in cash basically has to be excluded. Bearer check. So yani agar aapko you have to claim this, you have to show that the salary is paid through banking channels or through channels which can be traceable. Any employee having a monthly salary of more than 25,000 is excluded. क्योंकि point is to generate basic employment, right? ये नहीं कि you are hiring people at a CXO and CEO level and then you are saying, oh, it's great, we'll get 30% reductions of crores and crores of salary. No. The idea is to generate a basic employment in the economy. Salary जिनका 25,000 से ज्यादा है, these all would be excluded from the new employees. So एक बारी मैंने एडिशन निकाल लिया ड्यूरिंग द ईयर, एडिशन हुआ है. अब उनमें से जो कैश में सैलरी पे हो रहा है उनको हटा दो, जिनका सैलरी 25,000 से ज्यादा है उनको हटा दो. देन हु इज नॉट पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन पीएफ उनको हटा दो. ठीक है. Red ones are the exclusions. So first step is to do ATJJA, see whether tax audit is applicable. Then see whether additional employees are happening or not. Then exclude all of these. Then exclude में से जो बचेगा उनका salary लो for the number of months they are working. Then उसका 30% करो would be your deduction for year 1 and the same deduction will go for year 2 and year 3. Now someone asked me this question कि मैम suppose करो you're talking about the new employee. ठीक है. उसका first year salary था 25. Next year increment के बाद that salary got increased to 28. So what? No problem. The condition here is when you are incurring that new employee का cost in that first year when that person is hired, उस साल 25 से कम होना चाहिए. तो जब वो सैलरी फिगर आ गया, you will be claiming the same in year 1 and year 2 and year 3, right? अब नेक्स्ट ईयर भी कोई न्यू एम्प्लॉयज आएंगे अगर, तो वो उसका year 1, year 2, year 3 शुरू हो जाएगा. उसके नेक्स्ट ईयर भी फिर से न्यू एम्प्लॉयज आए, उनकी न्यू कॉस्ट का year 1, 2, 3 चलता रहेगा. तो यस यू कैन से कि नेक्स्ट ईयर जो न्यू एम्प्लॉयज आएंगे उनका year 1 का 30% मिलेगा एंड प्रीवियस वाले का सेकेंड रिडक्शन भी मिलेगा. दिस इज हाउ इट गोस. नॉट पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन द पीएफ हटा दो, पीपल इन कैश हटा दो, सैलरी ऑफ मोर देन 25,000 हटा दो. एनी एम्प्लॉय जिसका सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इज बेयरिंग द ईपीएस, remove them also. And employees who have worked in the year for less than 240 days. So minimum 240 days you have to work. Minimum 240 days you have to work. But if you're talking about seasonal industries, like your apparel industry or like your manufacturing apparel industries or leather industries, जहाँ पे seasonal काम है, तो वहाँ पे 240 days की जगह the period is reduced to 150 days. So अगर आप seasonal industry में काम करते हो, you have to work at least 150 days. If you're working in a normal industry, you have to work for 240 days to qualify for new employee. तब suppose किसी को मैंने मार्च में have taken up, I cannot take him in the new employee, I have to exclude him. I have to exclude it. But अब ये कहोगे मैम ये तो गलत है, we have generated the employment. Okay, so for the employees who have been hired during the year but are working for less than 240 days in that year, but they are working for more than 240 days in the next year, so they would be considered new employee of the next year. They would be considered new employee of the next year. So next year जो भी उनका salary होगा उसका 30% would be allowed for 3 years. तो ये सब आर दी एक्सक्लूजन फ्रॉम योर न्यू एम्प्लॉय. Audit is mandatory. Filing the return by due date is mandatory. समझ आया? अब इस पे एक क्वेश्चन करते हैं. If you have any other doubt, I'll repeat that again. Gratuity benefits, lump sum benefits are to be excluded. और ATJJ सबको मिलता है. New regime, old regime, alternate regime सबको मिलेगा. So now we have a question of Vikas. Vikas is commenced the business of manufacture of computers on 1st April 2024. He employed 420 new employees during the previous year 24-25. The details of whom are as follow. 75 regular employees. ठीक है? Do they qualify for the new employee conditions? Yes, because 75 है, less than 25,000 salary है, regular employees है. Yes, so इनका cost यानी 24,000 into 75 into 12 का 30% is eligible. ठीक है? Then 125 new employees on 1st May 2024. Regular employees है, but इनका salary 26,000 से ज्यादा है. Will they be eligible for ATJJAA? No. Then 120 employees on 1st 7 2024, casual employees hai, but salary is less than 25,000. Will they be eligible? No, casual workers are not covered. Then 100 employees 1st September 2024 से regular है 24,000 है. Yes, will they be eligible? Yes. So 100 employees for how many months? For 7 months. Into 24,000 का 30% would be eligible for additional deduction. The regular employees participates in RPF while the casual employees do not. Compute the deduction if any available for assessment year 25-26. If the profits and gains derived from manufacture of computers that year is 90 lakhs and his total turnover is 11.48 crores. So yani ye turnover ka significance kyun diya hai? So that you identify that the person is eligible for tax audit. So quickly compute the additional cost. Quick. इन्होंने मंथ्स के हिसाब से निकाला है, आप ऐसे निकालोगे सेम आंसर आएगा. अच्छा 1 सितंबर है 240 डेज नहीं हुआ. हाँ तो उसको भी हटा दो हटा दो. सॉरी माय बैड. 180 डेज वाला क्राइटेरिया ले 1 सितंबर से 240 डेज कैसे होगा? 7 into 30 210 होता है. हाँ ये भी एलिजिबल नहीं होंगे गाइस. माय बैड. सॉरी. So खाली 75 employees would be eligible. So see, even if I was saying, this error happens. The next part of the question says, what would your answer change if instead of computer, he was into manufacture of leather? Yes. Then my answer would change because then in that case, 240 days ki jagah, minimum employment period during the year should be 150 days. So then these people would be eligible. So 24,000 into 100 employees for 7 months, they would be eligible. Iska 30% would be eligible. Okay? So yes, that case the answer would change. So Mancha has asked, ma'am, interns would be covered? No. separate from employee deduction, Mitali, as already told. 37 section में you get salary deduction. इससे different है. This is additional deduction allowed for the additional employees. If salary increases in second year 25,000, still suppose ये भी 100 लोगों का salary next year 26,000 हो जाता है, still I would be allowed 24,000 of 100 into 7. जो first year में deduction निकलेगा of the 30%, that 30% would be eligible for year 1, 2 and 3. देन नेक्स्ट ईयर एज आई टोल्ड यू, नेक्स्ट ईयर न्यू एम्प्लॉयज आएंगे, उनका 1, 2, 3 फिर से स्टार्ट होगा. फिर उसके नेक्स्ट ईयर जो आएंगे उनका 1, 2, 3 नेक्स्ट फिर से स्टार्ट होगा, और जिसमें लास्ट ईयर जो प्रीवियस ईयर का 1, 2, 3 चल रहा होगा, दैट वुड बी अलाउड. इज इट क्लियर मिताली? So in a way, you have to generate minimum of 240 days of employment in an year for you to be eligible to claim this deduction. इससे क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा आते हैं. अच्छा इंटरेस्टिंग सेक्शन है. जिनी, पूनम, विघ्नेश, ऑल क्लियर? कोई प्रॉब्लम? शैल वी प्रोसीड? So next section which we are starting is ATM. Now ATM is a very sweet section. It is for companies, specifically domestic companies, who would be getting dividends. Dividends from whom? Dividends from domestic company. Domestic company is getting dividends from any where, anywhere, matlab, from domestic company, from foreign company, or from business trust. They are getting the dividend. This section came into picture when the dividend distribution tax wala section was abolished. This section came into picture then. So if I am a domestic company and I'm getting dividend as income from other domestic company or from other foreign company or from any business trust, then I would be eligible as deduction under ATM, provided I distribute this dividend to my shareholders. Provided, so after receiving, so if I'm a company, after receiving the dividend, I am distributing the part of the dividend to these shareholders, to my shareholders. But अब ये कैसे distribute करना है? By what time this has to be distributed? So this has to be distributed by 1 month before the return filing due date. अब return filing due date क्या होता है? 31st October in the most of the cases for companies. 1 month before मतलब by 30th of September, whatever dividend I distribute or whatever dividend I receive, whichever is lower would be allowed as deduction under ATM technically. Yes. If I get 10 lakhs, but I'm only distributing 3 lakhs, so what would be allowed as deduction? 3 lakhs. If I'm getting 10 lakhs, but I'm distributing 11 lakhs, what would be allowed as deduction? 10 lakhs. So whichever is lower would be allowed. But whatever dividend is distributed by 1 month before the return filing due date. 1 month prior to the return filing due date, वो जो dividend distribute हुआ है, that would be eligible. This can come as a question in your assessment of company का कोई question अगर आया, this can definitely be an adjustment there, definitely. So वो dividend जो मिला, that would be taxed as my income, definitely. But at the same time, if I'm distributing that, that would be allowed as deduction. And this is also one such good thing that ATM deduction is allowed to all entities, whether they are claiming alternate tax regime or not. Next, we move on to cooperative societies का deduction. अब इसमें how can we do it? Okay. इसको हम थोड़ा टैबुलर फॉर्म में करते हैं एटीपी को. This is deduction for any interest income, dividend income, and even profits derived from a cooperative society. अब कौन कौन सी cooperative societies होंगी? सबसे पहले तो we'll write any cooperative bank is not eligible for deduction. Any cooperative bank is not eligible for deduction. तो हम ऐसे ब्रेकअप करते हैं. Let's make a chart. Only 1 second. करने से लोगों की. अब इसमें बहुत सारे टाइप्स के इनकम्स एंड अलग अलग सिचुएशंस है. इसका मतलब चार्ट याद करते हैं. फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द चार्ट इज which you have to remember is that any cooperative bank is not allowed as deduction. Any cooperative bank would not be given. उसमें प्राइमरी सोसाइटीज और एग्रीकल्चर सोसाइटीज आती हैं, वो विल कवर अप. एनी कोऑपरेटिव बैंक इज नॉट एलिजिबल फॉर योर एटीपी. उसके बाद कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज इनटू द बिजनेस ऑफ, यहां से शुरू करते हैं. देन cooperative societies into the business of credit facilities to members, into the business of manufacturing, production or processing of any produce grown by the member, into the difference of agriculture produce हो गया, into the business of purchase of seeds, agricultural seeds, livestock, other articles intended for the agriculture purpose, is into the business of processing without the aid of power, is into the business of collective disposal of labor to its member, is into the business of fishing or allied activities. Or is into the business or is into the business of fishing or allied activities. In sub businesses का 100% of the income which is coming from these activities would be allowed as deduction. 100% of the income which is coming from these activities would be allowed as deduction. But you have to remember, when we are talking about collective disposal of labor to its members, etc., उस केस में make sure that any of the law or the bylaws of the society, any of the law or the bylaws of the society restricts the voting rights to the following class of the member. Yani individuals who contribute to the fishing or cooperative societies which provide financial assistance to the society or any state government, वो तभी, अगर फिशिंग वाले केस में तभी अलाउड होगा द रिडक्शन ऑफ 100% fishing profits if they are restricting the voting rights to only these people. और कोई वोट करेगा then it would not be allowed. Then it would not be allowed. उसके अलावा when we talk about your, this is for any cooperative society, ठीक है? This is for any cooperative society. But if उसके अलावा if we talk about your second, Mm, रेटिंग आउट ऑफ गोडाउंस बता दिया ना इसमें या नहीं? इज रेटिंग आउट ऑफ गोडाउंस। हाँ ये भी, एनी cooperative society which is a cottage industry, उसको भी दिस पर्टिकुलर डिडक्शन ऑफ एटीपी वुड बी अलाउड, और इसको एक और तरीके से आई वांट टू मेक इट ओ ठीक है। राइटिंग, हाँ, so I was telling you, cooperative banks not allowed. Cooperative societies into the businesses which we discussed, but any cooperative society into the businesses which we discussed would be allowed as deduction. But at the same time, any cooperative society, again, अभी businesses जो हमने discuss किए उसको 100% deduction मिलेगा। उसके साथ साथ any cooperative society का interest income या dividend income का भी they will get 100% deduction। इंटरेस्ट इनकम एंड डिविडेंड इनकम का भी दे विल गेट 100% डिडक्शन। जो स्पेसिफाइड बिजनेसेस से आ रहे हैं उनका 100%, उसके अलावा जो इंटरेस्ट एंड डिविडेंड है उसका भी 100% ऑफ द इनकम वुड बी अलाउड एज डिडक्शन। फिर उसके अलावा एनी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी, इसी को यहाँ पे लिख देते हैं, एनी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी जिस स्पेसिफाइड बिजनेस हो गया, इंटरेस्ट डिविडेंड हो गया, और एनी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी हैविंग बिजनेस फ्रॉम लेटिंग ऑफ गोडाउन्स, मतलब they are letting out the godowns or warehouses for marketing of the commodities, उनका भी 100% business income would be allowed as deduction। ठीक है, दिस इज फॉर यू टू मेक इट इजी। फिर उसके अलावा एनी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी जिसका ग्रॉस टोटल इनकम इज अप टू 20,000, इज अप टू 20,000, उनको अगर इंटरेस्ट ऑन सिक्योरिटीज आ रहा है और इंटरेस्ट ऑन हाउस प्रॉपर्टी आ रहा है, इनकम फ्रॉम हाउस प्रॉपर्टी है या इंटरेस्ट ऑन सिक्योरिटीज है, दैट इज 100% अलाउड एज डिडक्शन। हाउस प्रॉपर्टी का डिडक्शन किसको मिलेगा? जिनका इनकम फ्रॉम जिसका टोटल टोटल आपका टोटल कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी का ग्रॉस टोटल इनकम इज अप टू 20,000। और ये कौन सी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज होती है? हाउसिंग सोसाइटीज हो गई, या अर्बन कंज्यूमर सोसाइटीज हो गई, या सोसाइटी कैरिंग ऑन अ ट्रांसपोर्ट बिजनेस हो गया, या सोसाइटी इंगेज इन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑपरेशन हो गया। ठीक है, ये 20,000 वाला कंडीशन है। देन देर इज एनी कंज्यूमर कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी, उसका कोई भी एक्टिविटी होता है, एनी एक्टिविटी, उसको डिडक्शन मिलता है अप टू 1 लाख, अप टू 1 लाख। सिमिलरली मेरा कोई भी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी है जिसका कोई और एक्टिविटी है इन सब के अलावा, एनी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी जिसका कोई भी एक्टिविटी है एक्सेप्ट द अबव, इट कैन बी फ्रॉम एनी एक्टिविटी, एनी बिजनेस विच इज नॉट स्पेसिफाइड अबव, so then up to 50,000 they get a deduction। और प्राइमरी एग्रीकल्चर सोसाइटी, प्राइमरी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी आई शुड राइट, जो मेन रूरल एक्सेट्रा एरिया में होते हैं, उनका अगर इनकम इज कमिंग फ्रॉम सप्लाई ऑफ मिल्क, ऑयल, seeds, vegetables which are grown by the member, तब 100% deduction would be allowed। So this is how you can make a chart out of this. I'll zoom it also. So cooperative banks not allowed. Cooperative societies in any business like specified businesses like. Hmm, why is it not zooming? Yeah. Hmm. In specified businesses like manufacturing, production or processing of cottage industries, product, banking, etc., agriculture produce, etc. उसके अलावा आपका मार्केटिंग ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस ग्रोन बाय द मेंबर्स, उसके अलावा आपका एग्रीकल्चर इम्प्लीमेंट्स एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस को विदाउट द एड ऑफ पावर को प्रोसेस करना, ऑल ऑफ दीज स्पेसिफाइड बिजनेसेस से वट एवर इज कमिंग टू देम 100% डिडक्शन. इंटरेस्ट एंड डिविडेंड का 100% डिडक्शन एनी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज, एंड लेटिंग अ गो डाउन का 100% डिडक्शन. बट कोई कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी विच इज इनटू हाउसिंग, उसका अगर ग्रॉस टोटल इनकम अप टू 20,000 है तो उसका इनकम फ्रॉम हाउस प्रॉपर्टी एंड इंटरेस्ट ऑन सिक्योरिटीज का 100% डिडक्शन. कोई कंज्यूमर कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी है, उसका कोई भी एक्टिविटी से उसको इनकम आ रहा है, दैट इज अप टू 1 लाख अलाउड एज डिडक्शन. कोई और सोसाइटी है, कोई और एक्टिविटी से इनकम आ रहा है तो अप टू 50,000 अलाउड एज डिडक्शन. यू कैन समराइज इट एज दिस विच वुड हेल्प यू इजियर टू अंडरस्टैंड कि कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज को किस किस फॉर्म में दे कैन बी अलाउड एज डिडक्शन. Go through it once quickly. I think all covered इसमें. Yeah. इस चार्ट से it would be easier for you to understand. और प्राइमरी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज का सप्लाई ऑफ मिल्क वगैरह से 100% डिडक्शन. I hope this would be easier for you to understand. कि कौन कौन सा types of deduction is allowed. You want to note it? You can note it. So if I'm any cooperative society, ठीक है, I'm having business by processing of manufacturing produce by without the aid of power, तो उससे जो भी इनकम आएगा 100% मिलेगा. I have a interest income, dividend income, 100% डिडक्शन मिलेगा. अब सपोज आई हैव हाउस प्रॉपर्टी इनकम तो 50% डिडक्शन मिल 50,000 तक डिडक्शन और मिल जाएगा अंडर एटीपी, बिकॉज एनी कॉर्पोरेट सोसाइटी हैविंग इनकम फ्रॉम एनी अदर एक्टिविटी 50,000. समझ आया? दिस इज हाउ योर एटीपी का डिडक्शन वर्क्स. इसको प्रोसेस करना था इसलिए थोड़ा सा इसमें हमने टाइम लगाया. Guys, clear? You can make this chart सही में easy हो जाएगा. हैंडराइटिंग को प्लीज बार में हैंडराइटिंग. जब भी whenever you're studying and there is like a lot of things going on and you are not able to sort, तो उसको हमेशा चार्ट में कर लो, बहुत इजी होगा. Not only for your this particular thing I'm telling you, this is for all types of studies. So now we move ahead to a very interesting and a very nice deduction. for royalty, deduction in respect of royalty income of authors of certain books other than textbooks. अब सबसे पहले तो this particular section is about royalty. Royalty you can receive for multiple things. You can receive royalty for any patent, you can receive royalty for any film, anything you can receive royalty for. You can receive royalty as an author also. So this particular section of 80QQB is when you are receiving royalty as an income, not paying royalty. You are receiving royalty as an income and you are an author of the book. रॉयल्टीज में स्टूडेंट्स क्या होते हैं व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट बुक्स अलग अलग टाइप्स का रॉयल्टी मिल सकता है यू कैन रिसीव अ लमसम रॉयल्टी मतलब वन टाइम रॉयल्टी भी मिल सकता है वन टाइम अपफ्रंट पेमेंट भी मिल सकता है बिफोर एनी रॉयल्टी ठीक है या रॉयल्टी बेस्ड ऑन सेल ऑफ बुक्स भी मिल सकता है एज अ परसेंटेज. So there can be different terms and conditions between you and the publishing company. Publishing company takes the right of the work which you wrote and then they give you the royalty for that. Then they give you the royalty for that. So here the maximum deduction is 3 lakhs. 3 lakhs eligible 3 lakhs likha hai but 3 lakhs what? So I'll write it as eligible royalty or 3 lakhs whichever is less. अब आप बोलोगे what is eligible royalty? I'll come to that. I can write it as the amount which you have received as royalty. ठीक है जितना भी आपको रॉयल्टी मिला ड्यूरिंग द ईयर 3 lakhs और your in case you're receiving the royalty not as a lump sum but as a percentage of certain books produced or not produced, published or sold, then in that case maximum 15% of the value of books sold. इसमें से जो भी मिनिमम होगा दैट वुड बी अलाउड. सो मैक्सिमम 3 lakhs वुड बी अलाउड. इसमें से जो भी मिनिमम होगा दैट वुड बी अलाउड. अब यू कैन बी रिसीविंग रॉयल्टी एज सपोज मेरे और एम्प्लॉय पब्लिशर में द एग्रीमेंट इज कि मुझे 20% रॉयल्टी मिलेगा फॉर द बुक पब्लिश्ड. जितनी भी बुक पब्लिश होंगी उसका मुझे 20% मिलेगा. ठीक है अब बुक पब्लिश होंगी तो वो जितना भी उसका एमआरपी होगा उस बेसिस पे मिलेगा 20%. राइट बट यहाँ पे रिस्ट्रिक्शन डाला हुआ है अगर मेरे को परसेंटेज बेस्ड रॉयल्टी मिलता है तो मैक्सिमम डिडक्शन 15% पे भी रिस्ट्रिक्ट हो जाएगा. दैट मीन्स सपोज करो बुक्स पब्लिश हुई 400 बट बुक्स एक्चुअली सेल कॉपीज हुई 300. सो मैक्सिमम रॉयल्टी मुझे मिल रहा है एज पर द एग्रीमेंट दैट इज बिटवीन मी एंड द पब्लिशर बट द restriction as per 80QQB is that 15% of the value of the book sold. So 15% of suppose 300 copies are sold and they were not sold at MRP, but say MRP was 200, they were sold at 150. So this would come as a condition here. Based on that, whichever would be lower, based on that, whichever would be lower would be allowed as deduction. अब सेम इनकम पे मैं दो जगह तो डिडक्शन लूंगी नहीं. आई विल शो माई रॉयल्टी एज अ बिजनेस इनकम ऑल्सो. आई विल शो द रॉयल्टी एज अ बिजनेस इनकम ऑल्सो. सो जितना मैंने एक्सपेंडिचर उसमें से क्लेम कर लिया उसको नेट ऑफ करके देन आई विल कंपेयर इट. Yes, royalty is this 3 lakh is given to you every year. Every year. Again, this is in a heading of heading C, which is deduction in respect of certain incomes, and royalty is one of such income which are shown in your gross total income. So now you're getting the reduction out of it to calculate the taxable income. Also, अब suppose करो कोई foreign publisher है. If there is some foreign publisher, then the amount eligible for royalty would be only to the extent which has been brought to India within 6 months from the end of the year. Suppose मुझे बाहर royalty मिला है 5 lakhs मिल गया but I have not brought it into India, that has not been remitted to my Indian account. Only 4 lakhs has been remitted to the Indian account. So 4 lakh would be the eligible royalty के claim में the amount received. Okay. Even if I've earned 5 lakhs, even if I will show 5 lakhs, but for your 80QQP, only 4 lakhs would be the eligible amount. So whatever royalty is brought to India within 6 months from the end of the previous year, that would be allowed. अब इसके बेस पे quickly we'll do one question. Akash earned a royalty of rupees 2,88,000 from a foreign country for a book authored by him, being a work of literary nature. The rate of royalty is 18% of the value of the books. Okay, the expenditure incurred by him for earning this royalty was 40,000. The amount remitted to India till 30th September is 230. The remaining amount was not remitted by 31st March 2026. Compute the amount included in the gross total income of Mr. Akash and the amount of deduction which will be allowed for him under 80 QQB. Mancha, I think from this you will get, Mitali, from this you will get a clarity. अब ये देखो इस क्वेश्चन में क्या है, he is earning all foreign royalty 2,88,000 का. So the royalty which he will be showing it is in PGBP income would be 288 royalty received actually earned, right, minus 40,000. ये जो सब 15% criteria and all these brought to India are the criteria for deduction. So what he would be showing in his PGBP income is 2,48,000 net of expenses, right? Correct? अब हमें क्या करना है, हमें for the purpose of your 80 QQB, what did I tell you? You have to see the royalty which is received, the royalty which is received 3 lakhs or 15% of the value of the book sold. Now royalty received is 288, right? 3 lakhs or 15% of the value of the book sold. Or 15% of the value of the book sold is 15% कैसे निकालूंगी मैं? The figure which is given to me is 18% of the value of the book sold. तो 15% automatically निकल जाएगा. 288 divided by 18 into 15. Easily. 288. 2,40,000. यहां तक तो all clear है, right? Actual received. Actual received भी नहीं लेना चाहिए. Actually तो 248 लेना चाहिए because 40,000 you are already claiming as deduction from this. ठीक है? जो ये 248 दिखाया. 248, 3 lakhs and 2,40,000. Correct? Yes or no? यहां तक तो सबको क्लियर है. यहाँ इसको ऐसे ऐसे नहीं दिखाते, इसको नेट ऑफ एक्सपेंसेस बाद में दिखाते हैं. क्योंकि वो डबल, हाँ, 288, 3 lakhs and 240. But the condition when it comes to foreign royalty is that whenever a foreign royalty question comes, you have to take only that much royalty which has been brought to India till the time of return filing, or rather I should say till the time of 6 months from the end of the previous year. 6 months from the end of the previous year is 30th September 2025. Up, though this allowable limit is 15%, which is 240, but since only 230 of that has been brought to India, so instead of 240, my limit here would now be 230. My limit here would now be 230. So which is the lowest? 288, 3 lakhs or 230 में से 230, right? So 230 would be allowed as your deduction under 80 QQB, but net of the expenses which have been claimed. So net of the expenses minus 40,000, how much would be allowed? 1,90,000 would be allowed. 1,90,000 would be allowed. क्योंकि इस 230 में से 40,000 already deduction claim कर लिया, only 190 would be allowed. Mitali, now sorted? Foreign royalty? और ये खाली उसी को मिलेगा who is not claiming 115 BAC. And book can be any book. It can be any literary, artistic, scientific, nature book, but it will not include your diaries, guides, journal, magazines, newspaper, pamphlets. When by book we mean a proper book. School books, obviously, it is excluded. A question like this can come. A question like different situations can come where royalty actually received is based on some MRP of the book value sold. You have to calculate royalty 15% of the book value sold. मतलब जो उसका price sell होगा उसका 15%. And yes, you have to fill a form for claiming the deduction. अब सपोज करो किसी का इनकम 10 लाख से रॉयल्टी का, ठीक है. अभी दैट पर्सन हैज ऑलरेडी क्लेम्ड अ डिडक्शन अंडर एटीसी ऑफ से 150 lakhs, 1,50,000, ठीक है. अब फिर से वो 8 lakhs में से फिर से 3 lakhs नहीं मिलेगा ना, बिकॉज 10 lakhs में से फिर से 3 lakhs वुड नॉट बी अलाउड, बिकॉज 10 lakhs में से ऑलरेडी 150 हैव बीन क्लेम्ड एज डिडक्शन. तो रिमेनिंग रॉयल्टी जो बचेगा ना, वो यू हैव टू पिक अप. तो उसमें वो डिडक्शन कितने का हो जाएगा? रिसीव्ड वाले की जगह 10 लाख की जगह 150 तो ऑलरेडी क्लेम हो गया, तो 850 हो जाएगा. 3 lakhs का लिमिट है. बट टू गिव यू एन एग्जाम्पल, अब सपोज करो यही टोटल इनकम होती मेरा 4 lakhs, ठीक है. 1,25,000 ऑलरेडी हैव क्लेम्ड अंडर एटीसी. कितना बचा रॉयल्टी से क्लेम करने का? 2,75,000. सो द मैक्सिमम विच वुड बी अलाउड अंडर क्यूक्यूबी वुड बी 2,75,000. वो 3 lakhs नहीं हो जाएगा, विच मेक सेंस ऑल्सो. Yes, जो बिजनेस एक्सपेंस आपने क्लेम कर लिया, दैट वुड बी डिडक्टेड आफ्टर यू हैव क्लेम कंप्यूटेड द लिमिट एलिजिबल फॉर 80 क्यूक्यूबी. अगर ऊपर कोई डिडक्शन क्लेम नहीं किया तो फुल रॉयल्टी का डिडक्शन मिल जाएगा. उस पर्टिकुलर रॉयल्टी से वॉट एवर बेनिफिट्स यू हैव क्लेम उसको हटा दोगे. नेक्स्ट इज रॉयल्टी ऑन पेटेंट्स. अब पेटेंट्स पे भी when you register any patent and someone is using, see 80 QQB is strictly for author's royalty. Strictly for author's royalty. And 80 RRB, which is the new section. RRB से royalty याद रहेगा, बस याद रखना पेटेंट है. एक और एक QQB वो is for authors. So this is for any resident individual who is a patentee, basically who is deriving the income in the nature of royalty in respect of the patent he registered. Okay. उसके लिए whatever royalty income he is receiving, whatever income, it can be for transferring of any right, imparting of any information for using of the patent, use of the patent, rendering of any services for the patent, whatever income you're receiving, that would be allowed as deduction. But patent income should be taxed as your PGBP income, not as a consideration which is taxed in capital gain. अब मैंने patent किसी को transfer ही कर दिया and I got money for that, that is again transfer of a capital asset, right? But here we're talking about when that income is not taxable under capital gain. If it is taxable under capital gain, then this 80 RRB would not be allowed. Please write it in capital letter. या पेटेंट यूज करके कोई प्रोडक्ट मिला, कोई प्रोडक्ट बना, तो उस प्रोडक्ट को मैं आगे बेच रही हूँ, देन ऑल्सो इट्स नॉट अ रॉयल्टी, देन इट्स ऑल्सो नॉट अ रॉयल्टी. ठीक है. इसमें डिडक्शन कैसे मिलेगा? अगेन द पेटेंट रॉयल्टी अमाउंट और 3 lakhs विच एवर इज लेस. अब सपोज करो एक पेटेंट के बहुत सारे ओनर्स हैं. देयर आर मल्टीपल ओनर्स, जॉइंट ओनर्स फॉर द पेटेंट. देन ईच ओनर would be allowed 3 lakhs as deduction. This 3 lakhs is for each SSC basically. So question can come like this also, that there are 3 joint owners of the patent. So 3 joint owners, तीनों को 3-3 लाख का डिडक्शन मिलेगा, not 1-1 lakh each. And same, if the royalty is earned outside India, deduction shall be allowed to an extent on the income which has been brought to India or converted basically into foreign exchange into Indian rupees within 6 months from the end of the previous year. Got it? और कोई भी अगर alternate regime ले रहा होगा, 80 RRB would not be allowed. Question from 80 QQB are more likely to come than question from 80 RRB. Sorted? Anyone and everyone? Deduction effect of other incomes हमने क्लास में ही कर लिया था. Other deductions भी covered हो गया था. Now before going to your deduction under chapter under section 10AA, let me just quickly revise of what we have done today. Everyone, read these series for the marathon. Quickly, I'll say the deductions which have been covered from the gross total income apart from what we were covered in the previous class. So yes, you get deductions up till 80U. But in today's class, we have started from the very boring ICAI, which is out for NESSC, for either developing, operating, maintaining infrastructure facilities, developing and operating industrial parks or SEZ, generating or distributing power, or reconstruction or revival of your power generating plants. When I talk about all of these, in general, it is 100% profits for 10 out of 15 years. But when I talk about your port, airport, inland waterways, inland port, navigation channel in the sea, then the reduction is 100% profit for 10 out of 20 years. This is allowed for NESSC. Then ATIAB is for your SCZ developers. Any business of developing an SCZ, NESSC would be given a reduction 100% for 10 out of 15 years. For ATIAC, company and LLP only, 100% of the profits and gains for 3 out of 10 years. Who is an eligible startup, unke profits for reduction मिलेगा. All of these again, please total income को मत deduction देना, whatever is coming from that business उसको deduction देना, okay? Then ATIB में certain undertakings है for backward areas, mineral oil, natural gas, housing projects, and your processing, preservation, and packaging of specified food products. NESSC gets the deduction, but since you cover only the specific products in the summary, then 100% of the profits in the first 5 years and 25% or 30% in the next 5 years. ATIBA, which is for your housing projects or rental housing projects, उसके लिए NESSC 100% of the profits from the housing projects. ATIC, which is your ATIC नहीं, ATIE, which is for your Northeastern states में if you're covering any specified services or manufacturing activities, NESSC would get 100% of the profits for 10 years. Then ATJJA, 100% of the profits for 5 years for NESSC into biodegradable waste processing. Then ATJJAA, NESSC, 30% of the additional employee cost for 3 years you will get incurring on the additional cost which is for the new employees. NESSC will get of the tax audit. ATLA, banks having offshore unit, banking unit in SCZ or foreign banks in SCZ or your unit of IFSC. IFSC के लिए 100% profit for 10 out of 15 years. Banking के लिए 100% of the profit for 10 years, but उसमें ये है कि first 5 years में 100%, next 5 years में 50%, but if next 5 years are falling from assessment day 23-24 onwards, then 100%. ATM dividend for domestic company only. This is only for domestic company. For the dividend which is received from anywhere, domestic company, foreign company, business trust, that would be allowed of, deduction would be allowed of 100% of the dividend which is distributed. 100% of the specified income is allowed for ATP for any cooperative societies. उसमें अलग अलग हैं, interest incomes है, dividend income and profit derived from businesses है. 80 QQB only resident individual, 3 lakhs maximum for royalty copyright fees in respect of books. 80 RRB royalty in respect of patents. 3 lakhs again resident individual. So this was what we have covered in past almost 2 hours and so. Does anyone has any doubt? No doubt. इसको याद करने का भी तरीका है, गिव यू हिंट्स बीच बीच में. notes साथ साथ में बनाए हैं. So don't tell ma'am, do not give notes. We make notes together, and I encourage that you people also have a habit of writing that. So I hope all of this is clear. Sure. Take a moment, then we'll start with your 10AA deduction. Okay, so now let's talk about deduction under Section 10AA. So students, if we go by the list of Section 10, they are exemptions. They are exemptions. Definitely, they are exemptions when we talk about respective income. That income would not be taxable at all. That income would not be taxable at all. And there's a list and plethora of exemptions. When we talk about there is exemption of agricultural income, there's exemption of partner share of profit, HUF members shares of HUF. So and so on. There's a lot of lists. Some we covered under salary, some is covered under. We saw in our this particular chapter also we covered at places like life insurance policy, total amount getting on maturity. So at parts we have seen NPS ka amount getting withdrawal. At parts we have seen what all is covered under Section 10. But 10AA is altogether different section. It is not an exemption. It is a deduction. It is a deduction. Why it's a deduction? Because it is from the gross total income. It is from the gross total income, and that's why it is covered under this particular chapter. तो चैप्टर 6A का नाम ही है डिडक्शन फ्रॉम ग्रॉस टोटल इनकम है which is of the income tax act, but 10AA में भी there is one such deduction which is 10AA का which is for the deductions from the gross total income and not from your specific head. अब इसमें क्या है कि किसको मिलता है? Let's just see. So first of all, this particular deduction is allowed only to a manufacturer or a person who is producing an article or thing in a specific area, and that specific area is your special economic zone. That specific area is a special economic zone. So if the manufacturer or the SECI basically is a manufacturer of an any article or things or into provision of service in a special economic zone, then that person is allowed this deduction. That person is allowed this deduction. But deduction क्या मिलेगा? Profit which is coming from export. Profit which is coming from export. So can I say this deduction is one such deduction which is for your promotion of export, which is for your promotion of export. So whatever profit which is coming from export, that would be taken up for the deduction part. That would be taken for the deduction part. So deduction कितना मिलेगा? Deduction again is in the period of tax holiday. It is allowed for 15 years. 15 years के लिए it is allowed. So whatever export profit का deduction is coming. So first year, 100% of the export profit is allowed as deduction. So मेरा जितना भी टर्नओवर होगा, एक्सपोर्ट टर्नओवर, उससे जितना भी प्रॉफिट आ रहा होगा, उसका 100% would be allowed as deduction for first 5 years. So suppose I have total 30 lakhs का प्रॉफिट, ठीक है, out of the total turnover of say 90 lakhs. इसमें से 25 lakhs is for your domestic sales and remaining 65 lakhs is from the export sales. So how would you calculate the export profit? Simple. 30 lakhs का total profit है जिसमें से 90 on a total turnover of 90 65 lakhs is my export sales, so you will get your export profit. ठीक है, so export profit का 100% deduction मिलेगा under 10AA for the first 5 years when from the year when you commence the operations. Next 5 years में you get 100 की जगह 50% of the export profit. 50% of the export profit. And उसके next 5 years में उसके नेक्स्ट 5 years में 25% नहीं, उसके नेक्स्ट 5 years में भी 50% ऑफ द एक्सपोर्ट प्रॉफिट, बट कंडीशनल हो जाता है. 50% ऑफ द एक्सपोर्ट प्रॉफिट और द अमाउंट ट्रांसफर टू अ रिजर्व, अमाउंट डेबिटेड टू द रिजर्व. आपने प्रॉफिट में से कितना अमाउंट एक स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन रिजर्व होता है, स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक री इन्वेस्टमेंट रिजर्व होता है, उसमें कितना अमाउंट ट्रांसफर करा वो, या 50% ऑफ द एक्सपोर्ट प्रॉफिट, विच एवर इज लोअर. तो एक SCZ का स्पेशल रिजर्व बनाना है जिसमें री इन्वेस्टमेंट रिजर्व है. री इन्वेस्टमेंट रिजर्व मीन्स आई एम setting aside my profit to reinvest again for the business, to reinvest again for the business. That is called your स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन री इन्वेस्टमेंट रिजर्व अकाउंट. ठीक है, सेंस इसका ये है कि आप प्रॉफिट को अब थोड़ा सा सेट असाइड करो फॉर योर फ्यूचर यूज, फॉर योर फ्यूचर यूज. सो हाउ मच प्रॉफिट यू आर सेट असाइडिंग फॉर योर फ्यूचर यूज फॉर दैट प्रोडक्ट, फॉर दैट बिजनेस, that amount or 50% of the export profit, whichever is lower. पहले दो tranches में it's unconditional, but third tranche, which is of the next 5 years, it is conditional. और एक्सपोर्ट टर्नओवर में वही टर्नओवर लिया जाएगा विच इज ब्रॉट टू इंडिया विद इन 6 months फ्रॉम द एंड ऑफ द प्रीवियस ईयर. मतलब मैंने 65 lakhs का सेल तो दिखा दिया एक्सपोर्ट का, बट इट इज नॉट बीन रिसीव्ड और इट इज नॉट बीन कन्वर्टेड इनटू इंडियन मनी, वो नहीं माना जाएगा. ओनली द टर्नओवर टू द एक्सटेंट विच इज कन्वर्टेड विद इन 6 months फ्रॉम द एंड ऑफ द ईयर वुड बी कंसिडर्ड. अब ये स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक रिजर्व का पर्पस क्या है? Whatever money has been transferred to special economic reserve has to be used either for acquiring the plant and machinery, for acquiring the new plant and machinery, क्योंकि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्री में हो रहा है, सो फॉर एक्वायरिंग द न्यू प्लांट एंड मशीनरी. अभी कितने टाइम में प्लांट एंड मशीनरी एक्वायर करना है? विद इन 3 years फ्रॉम द एंड ऑफ द ईयर इन विच द रिजर्व वॉज क्रिएटेड. उसके 3 साल के अंदर अंदर यू हैव टू यूज द मनी फॉर द acquiring of the plant and machinery, for the acquiring of the plant and machinery. Got it? और अगर आप यूज नहीं करोगे तो whatever deduction you have claimed would be reversed back as income, would be reversed back as your income. एक्सपोर्ट टर्नओवर में ड्यूटी ड्रॉबैक वगैरह कुछ भी नहीं आएगा. अगर आपने SCZ शिफ्ट कर दिया फ्रॉम, आप पहले कोई और SCZ में ऑपरेट करते थे, नाउ यू आर ऑपरेटिंग इनटू सम अदर SCZ, स्टिल द रिडक्शन वुड बी कंटिन्यू. अगर आपने बिजनेस बेच दिया, you have sold the business to some other person, so the new person would be allowed as deduction for the remaining period, for the remaining period. Audit obviously is mandatory. Baki conditions are okay on it. Return filing within the due date होना चाहिए, और सब बता दिए. इसमें और कुछ रह गया? I don't think so. आप ये रिजर्व का पैसा डिविडेंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने में नहीं यूज कर सकते, और यू कैन नॉट रेमिट इट आउटसाइड. ऐसे यू कैन नॉट क्रिएट एनी एसेट आउटसाइड इंडिया. सी अल्टीमेटली इट्स फॉर, यू शुड प्रमोट द स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन, एंड बेसिकली फॉर दैट you are being given the reduction. Other than plant and machinery के लिए no. Okay. आप प्लांट एंड मशीनरी मतलब you can use it for the purpose of the business also, but it should not be utilized for your distribution of dividends, or for remitting outside India, or for acquiring plant and machinery outside India. See, एक्विजिशन ऑफ प्लांट एंड मशीनरी लिखा हुआ है. अब एक्विजिशन फॉर लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग कैन बी अ डिबेटेबल थिंग to the extent it is used for the purpose of the business, because it is written that if you're not using it for the purpose of plant and machinery, then you have to use it for the purpose of the business. A purpose of the business can be interpreted as a common business transaction या common business activities के लिए, because acquisition of land and building as such नहीं लिखा हुआ. Anyone can interpret it as a loop. पर्पस which is specifically disallowed is डिविडेंड की तरह नहीं देना. इस रिजर्व को आप डिविडेंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के लिए नहीं यूज कर सकते, और यू कैन नॉट यूज इट फॉर क्रिएटिंग एनी एसेट आउटसाइड इंडिया. अब दे हैव नॉट रिस्ट्रिक्टेड दैट यू कैन नॉट क्रिएट अ बिल्डिंग आउट ऑफ इट. इट्स नॉट रिस्ट्रिक्टेड एनीवेयर. और टर्नओवर में से फ्रेट, क्योंकि क्योंकि एक्सपोर्ट टर्नओवर है, जिसमें से फ्रेट, टेलीकम्युनिकेशन चार्जेस, इंश्योरेंस चार्जेस जो भी आपको मिलते हैं, दैट वुड बी एक्सक्लूडेड. एंड ऑब्वियसली एससीजेड के यूनिट की बात हो रही है, तो अगर कोई एससीजेड का कोई और डिडक्शन आप इफ यू आर टेकिंग अंडर एनी सेक्शन ऑफ 80 आईए एंड आईबी, दैट हैज टू बी एक्सक्लूडेड. अब एक बात बताओ, यू हैव टू मेंटेन अ प्रॉपर डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ट, बिकॉज यहाँ पे 100% आपका एक्सपोर्ट प्रॉफिट वो डिडक्ट हो रहा है. यू हैव टू कंटिन्यू टू मेंटेन द डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ट, एंड वंस इट इज फाइनल उस पे आ जाओगे, सो दैट when the tax holiday period is clear, you have that depreciation chart readily available with you. So just a question which you can see on the screen, let's do it. ABC Limited furnishes you the following information for the end of the year or as on 31st March 2025. We have been given total turnover of special economic zone unit located 120. Profit of the business of unit A is 45. Export turnover of unit A received in Indian convertible foreign exchange before 30th September is 60. Total turnover of unit B located in DTA 225. Profit of the business of unit B is 25. अब यूनिट ए में 120 में से 60 is your export turnover brought till the limited in the convertible foreign exchange by 6 months is 60. ठीक है. अब इसमें से सिंपल है, प्रोपोर्शनेट कर लोगे, 45 into 60 divide by 120, which will come to your 22.5. Now you have to see in which year of the business you are. Compute the reduction under section 10AA for assessment year 25-26, assuming A Limited commenced the operation of both SCZ and DTAA 1920. So 1920, 2021, 21-22, 22-23 and 23-24 ये 5 years complete हो गए. Next 5 years is now 50% वाला deduction. The 22.5 का 50%, which is 11.25, would be allowed as deduction for unit A, which is located in special economic zone for its exports profit. Got it? What about unit B? Unit B का भाई total का total 25 would be taxable, because the condition which we are taken up in 10AA is only for the unit which is located in the SCZ, not for the unit which is located in the domestic tariff area. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. ऐसे सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन आ सकता है इसमें से. नो नो हिंड्रेंस ऑन इट की टफ हमेशा. दी पेपर व्हेन इट इज सेट ऑलमोस्ट 30% दे कीप इट टू सिंपल. तो सिंपल में भी जरूरी नहीं है कि हमेशा वी फाइंड आउट समथिंग टेक्निकल और समथिंग वेरी क्रिटिकल शुड बी देयर. So that's all from my side for deduction from gross total income. But let us do one question to revise and understand what we have done is clear or not. कौन सा क्वेश्चन करें? अच्छा, सबसे पहले एक क्वेश्चन which I was talking about today in today's class only, which is this. On your screen, everyone, please. X Limited has two units, unit N and unit Y. Unit N is engaged in the business of power generation installed for windmill in March 25 and had a profit of 100 lakhs in assessment year 25-26. X Limited claimed depreciation of 120 lakhs on windmill against the profit of 100 lakhs from power generation business, which was eligible for deduction under section 80 IA. तो 120 lakhs का deduction उन्होंने power generation business के उससे ले लिया. Okay. Unit Y engaged in the manufacturing of wires. Non-eligible business had a profit of 70 lakhs for assessment year 25-26. The loss of 20 lakhs, that is balance depreciation not set off pertaining to unit N, was set off against the profit of unit Y carrying on non-eligible business by the assessee. The assessing officer was of the view that the depreciation relating to business eligible for deduction under ATIA cannot be set off against the non-eligible business income. Hence, unabsorbed depreciation should be carried forwarded to the subsequent year to be set off against eligible business income of the SSC of that year. Comment on the correctness of the assessing officer. Question पढ़ो, समझ आया? 20 lakhs is the net loss after setting off the unabsorbed depreciation of a eligible business of ATIA, and on the second hand we have a 70 lakhs ka profit. Now this guy adjusted 70 lakhs ka loss after depreciation, that is unabsorbed depreciation, with 70 lakhs ka profit. The point is whether it is allowed or not. Now, interesting thing is in the past 3 classes, we have done set of carry forward also, and we have done this eligible SSC wala question also, eligible business wala question also, or understanding. So now think and give an answer of it, whether assessing officer is correct or not. Question समझ आया? Assessing officer is wrong, Mitali says, right? Does anyone have any other view? Vignesh? I'm waiting. Everyone is actually right. Assessing officer is not correct. See, when we talk about restrictions on set off, we obviously talk about specified businesses. अब यहाँ पे eligible business का case है, and I understand that there is a tax holiday period when it comes to profit, but यहाँ पे तो profit है ही नहीं, right? यहाँ पे तो profit, there is no profit. So we understand that since there is no profit, since there is no profit, so ATIA does not come into picture, and hence 20 lakhs can be adjusted with the profit of the non-eligible business. यहाँ तक there is no confusion. Section 71B is there for that. You can take the benefit of it. 71B क्यों carry forward क्यों करे? In the same year, you can set it off with intra-head adjustment only, section 70 only, right? कोई doubt? नहीं, कोई problem नहीं है, and that is definitely allowed. But students, next year, remember, अब मेरे को एक बात बताओ, वी डिड द क्वेश्चंस जहाँ पे आई वाज टेलिंग यू कि फर्स्ट ईयर लॉस है, देन सेकंड ईयर लॉस है, देन थर्ड ईयर लॉस है, फोर्थ ईयर भी लॉस है, फिफ्थ ईयर से प्रॉफिट है. तो फर्स्ट थिंग व्हाट आई डिड, आई एडजस्टेड द कैरी फॉरवर्डेड द लॉसेज एंड एडजस्टेड देम. देन आई टुक द टैक्स प्रॉफिट का, टैक्स हॉलिडे का बेनिफिट. रिमेंबर द क्वेश्चन वी डिड. तो अब क्योंकि आई हैव एडजस्टेड अ लॉस ऑफ एन एलिजिबल बिजनेस with the profit of a non-eligible business, next year, whenever I'm having a profit from this unit N, next year, whenever I'm having a profit from this unit N, this 20 lakhs which has been adjusted, 20 lakhs which has been adjusted would be reduced from the eligible deduction of ATIA. Reason being, had I not have any other business, ये 20 lakhs पहले माइनस होता, फिर टैक्स हॉलिडे, फिर टैक्स प्रॉफिट निकलता फॉर दैट ईयर, राइट. फिर मेरा डिडक्शन प्रॉफिट, टैक्स प्रॉफिट नहीं, डिडक्टेबल प्रॉफिट निकलता और ग्रॉस डिडक्शंस में से व्हाट ग्रॉस डिडक्शन फॉर एटीआईए निकलता, राइट. हैड आई डू नॉट हैड एनी अदर इनकम, करेक्ट. So इसलिए when in the next year I would be having this any income from unit N, the tax holiday में whatever profit which will be claiming as deduction would be reduced by this 20 lakhs because that have been adjusted. Because conventionally it's wrong ना. Conventionally we are saying जब profit होगा we will take tax holiday, जब loss होगा हम किसी और business से adjust कर देंगे. That is not right. So that contention you can adjust it since you did not have profit, but if you had profit whenever in future you will adjust this 20 lakhs from that. Itali, when we will be taking 80 IA का benefit in the future year when we have profit, उसमें से 20 लाख माइनस हो जाएगा. Suppose in future they have 60 lakhs का business profit. So instead of 60 lakhs का 80 IA deduction, you will get 40 lakhs का 80 IA deduction. Got it? So this type of question can also come. अच्छा एक बात बताओ, वाइसी वर्सा इज अलाउड? वाइसी वर्सा मतलब अगर मेरा if there's a loss from my non-eligible business and I have a profit from an eligible business, what would be the situation then? Do I have to adjust it? See, wherever such tax holiday periods are, वहां पे clearly it's written that you have to consider this particular whenever there is a these types of eligible business, you have to consider that this SE only has this type of business, only has this types of business, and deduction under 80 IA or IB would be given based on that the profits and gains of the eligible business shall be computed as if such eligible business was there. अभी जो क्वेश्चन किया वहां पे प्रॉफिट सिचुएशन ही नहीं था, इसलिए वी डिड नॉट अप्लाई ATIA IB whatever was getting applied. But when we have ATIA, ATIB, etc., then we have to consider that this is the only business the SSE is having, supposedly. So when we are considering this, we cannot or we should not set off the losses suffered from any other business or non-eligible business, and the aggregate deduction which we will be claiming would be the entire profit of the eligible business. ठीक है, would be the entire profit of the eligible business. So जो undertaking which is not allowed, or I should say the undertaking which is not eligible for the TIA or IB or whatever respective deduction which we are talking about, uska loss would be carry forwarded. Uska loss would be carry forwarded. Set off would not be allowed. ठीक है, ये केस भी था 2022 का रिलायंस एनर्जी का, उसमें इट वाज हेल्ड. वेरी गुड मंशा, एग्जैक्टली राइट. एक और क्वेश्चन करते हैं. So that the remaining points will be covered. PQR cooperative bank है, a cooperative society, having its area of operations confined to Gubbi Taluk, and the principal objective of which is to provide for long-term credit or for agricultural and rural development activities, has received the following amounts during the year: interest amount from its members on loans and advances, interest income on deposit with other cooperative societies, and rental income amounting to 2 lakh from letting out of the godown. PQR Cooperative Bank seeks your advice. PQRB Cooperative Bank seeks your advice in the matter of eligibility for deduction, if any, in respect thereof for the assessment year 25-26. Pratham? Question? Yeah. So, I told you very clearly that cooperative banks are excluded. But my dear friends, any cooperative bank which is a primary agriculture society, जो basically एक rural area में ही operate करते हैं, और a primary rural development bank और a primary cooperative agricultural bank, वो are included. मतलब उनको ATP का benefit मिलेगा. So if I talk about cooperative bank, they are excluded. But if I talk about your cooperative bank other than or if I talk about a primary cooperative agriculture bank और रूरल डेवलपमेंट बैंक, दे आर वेरी मच इंक्लूडेड. अब रूरल डेवलपमेंट बैंक कौन से हैं? जो एक रूरल एरिया में डेवलपमेंट एक्टिविटीज करते हैं या लॉन्ग टर्म क्रेडिट देते हैं, ओनली दोज आर योर रूरल डेवलपमेंट बैंक्स. तो दैट मीन्स दे आर वेरी मच एलिजिबल फॉर एटीपी. अब सबसे पहले दे आर रिसीविंग 1 lakh फ्रॉम द लोन एडवांस टू इट्स मेंबर. So that is fully allowed, remember, because 80 any cooperative society getting any income from the specified business, that is allowed. Interest income and dividend income वैसे भी fully allowed under 80P. So interest income from other cooperative societies again fully allowed. Rent income from letting out again fully allowed. So 1 lakh, 1,50,000 and 2 lakhs, all of them would be fully allowed as deduction under section 80P. Had it been a cooperative bank other than a rural cooperative bank, they or other than a primary agriculture society bank, then it would not be allowed. Yeah. Okay, so now as Mancha has requested, let us take some cases and adjustments. Hmm. We are talking about 10AA जो हमने अभी freshly cover किया. ठीक है, now we are talking about students export turnover. Export turnover is when naturally fluctuation is a very common thing. Whenever making a sale and whenever receiving the remittance, there can be naturally a very common way that the due to exchange or appreciation or depreciation, the amount can fluctuate, right? So a question was that whether when we're talking about section 10AA, whether foreign exchange gain just because of those relating to the sole business of the export of this SE eligible for 10AA. अब मैंने जब when I send the money, or when I made the sale, it was for 20 lakhs rupees. But because of the export fluctuations, now the gain which is coming, the total amount which I received is say 22 lakhs rupees. So now the question is whether this 2 lakhs in total would be eligible for deduction. The answer is yes, because this 2 lakhs is completely because of the foreign exchange fluctuation which has happened. Right. So completely this 2 lakhs is eligible because I received this higher income because of the foreign exchange fluctuation, because of what? Because of the export turnovers, right? Because of the export turnover, and it is not something in the hand of the SSC and he is manipulating it, right? So it's a very much amount which is received for the because of those export turnover, and it should be very much eligible for deduction under section 10 AA. Next, um, next which I would like to cover up is ये बहुत बेसिक सा है. अ कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी का मेन बिजनेस है टू गिव क्रेडिट्स टू इट मेंबर. तो क्या इसको कोऑपरेटिव बैंक कहलाया जाएगा एंड इसको एटीपी नहीं मिलेगा? क्वेश्चन इज व्हेन अ कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी इज ओनली इनटू गिविंग द क्रेडिट टू इट्स मेंबर, विल इट बी टर्म्ड एज अ कोऑपरेटिव बैंक? And just because of it being termed as a cooperative bank, ATP would be not allowed. So the answer is simple. See, when we term anything as a cooperative bank, it is not just because of its business, but also it should be a cooperative bank registered as per the Banking Regulation Act. Just by making the credit facilities to its member does not qualify it to be a cooperative bank. And since it is not qualifying it to be a cooperative bank, ATP के लिए that particular cooperative society is eligible. Next is someone who has not claimed the reduction under ICAI for the initial of year. See, you get tax holiday periods for 10 consecutive years or whatever period. You did not claim the reduction for first 3 years. Would you be allowed to claim as deduction for the remaining period? See, nowhere they say that you have to claim it for all the period. They say you are allowed to claim it. You are given a benefit for 10 years. Now, if you have not been claiming it for 10 years, or say out of 10, you have not claimed for 2, 3 years, no one can stop you to take the benefit for the next 7 years. But yes, next 7 years may you have to claim as per the condition. See, suppose for next 7 years, out of the remaining 7 years, 5 years may 50% would only be allowed. So 5 years में you will only take 50%. उसको then 100 नहीं माना जाएगा, वहां से 10 काउंट नहीं शुरू होगा from the year when you are taking. But yes, if you have not claimed in the earlier years when you were eligible, it will not stop you from claiming in the remaining years. Read it once. So well, 7, you can do it. 6, we have already discussed. Any specific which you want me to cover up? 5th is already done, given, done in question. 4th, we have already taken up. 3rd, I think you can read it easily. सारे ATI IB से related है. Lines वाला है क्या? First also I have discussed in a way. I think all cases are also covered. Any other specific question you want me to do? Please today and in the next, by the time you have next class, make sure that your deduction wala topic is completed, because no question of a comprehensive question or otherwise would be incomplete, would come without deduction. It can be as small as a 2 mark deduction of ATG, ATC, ATP, or as theoretical as ATI is list. Generally, theoretical question comes from tax holiday wala deductions, or it can be a 5, 6 markers of a ATJJA or ATQQB. So please make sure that your chart is done. Please make sure that you do each question not by seeing the question, but by attempting it. Even if you do not have that sufficient time to attempt it pura proper by a presentation, which I say, at least make 2-3 columns, do it roughly, write the section name correctly, then match the answer. Okay, this is how at the first glance you should do the questions at least. Okay, and sections में गलती मत करना. Please remember all the reduction sections. Any where else I can help? I would be more than happy. Any feedback you want me to pass on or any feedback you want me to give? No? Nothing? All
Ma'am,
sorted? Yes.
you were telling us that we will not enjoy it.
Acha, so you enjoyed it then. That's great. Because I personally feel very I'll not say irritated, but very irked when ATIA wala list I have to study as a student. But I hope it was easy and I tried to make it easier. Otherwise, 80 JJ, 80 QQB, 80 RRB, I enjoy. But I mostly enjoy deductions in respect of certain payments wale sections.
Yes.
They're very easy.
Yes, ma'am. Actually enjoyed.
Great, Ginny. So ITR, who has asked this question? Mancha, see, ITR is basically the journals. There is where this particular case law is published. This is the volume and the page number. Oh, sorry. This is the volume and the page number of the journal of the income tax rulings, जहाँ पे you will get this case law. कौन से में 2013 वाले में और the Supreme Court. और लिबर्टी इंडिया वाला केस तो तुम्हें मिलेगा इन 2017 आइडिया पेज 218 पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट का 2009 वाले वॉल्यूम में. दिस इज हाउ यू डू दिस आईटीआर का. सी यू डोंट हैव टू रिमेंबर इतना सारा. यू हैव इफ यू वांट टू रिमेंबर द केस लॉ सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन द केस ऑफ सो एंड सो and if you can the year at max because this number can change to any volume you can refer. If I'm referring to some others authors compilations, then I can, or publisher compilations, then this will change. Sorted? Perfect. So see you all very soon. And in case I don't see you, wish you all the very best. And please be reachable through ICAI. We'll be very happy to take all your concerns. Thank you. All the best. Good night. Yes.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Sir, one second. Yes, Mancha.
No, ma'am, Jeannie.
Yeah, Ginny.
Ma'am, why you have told see you like this?
I am not sure about the schedule, that's why.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So if I would be very happy to come back. But this month I'm not pretty much sure of the schedule because of other commitments. So that's why.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
We will meet
And
soon.
and also in case I don't meet, wish you all a very happy new year also.
But ma'am, we will meet soon.
Perfect. Done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good night.